Let's get nasty on a Thursday. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsham, Anthony Stalter. 202, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Welcome into the Fast Lane. We appreciate you being here. You can always reach out via the Air Comfort Service text line if you want, 314-399-9646. And you can also leave us a mic drop on the 100% free app, 101 ESPN app. Leave us a mic drop on anything we're talking about today. Before coming into the studio, Josh Innes of KSHE, who's on opposite of us, asked, hey, what do you think of Dylan Cease? Because Dylan Cease is one of the hotter names when it comes to trade candidates that maybe the Cardinals could be interested in. And I know the Cardinals are loosely connected to Dylan Cease. And he asked, well, you know, he's not an ace. I mean, not in the typical sense, no. But are there aces right now in Major League Baseball outside of Spencer Strider?
There's lots of aces, Anthony. We get a whole bunch of
Garrett Cole?
Yeah, but we'd have to pay, like, a lot of money.
Certainly.
You know.
You don't have... Jamie, this is kind of where I'm at with building this rotation. You need an ace. But for me, you're not going to be able to pay for one and still build the rest of your team. You're also not going to be able to acquire one without making it really hurt, but you're trying to build a competitive rotation. I don't think we should just look at each individual signing in a vacuum. I think we need to look at it and say, how can the Cardinals continue to build a competitive starting rotation? I'd mentioned this after they signed Sonny Gray. Do not kick your feet up. Do not say you're done. Shopping list, Christmas list done. We did all our shopping. We needed 3 starters. We got 3 starters. How do you improve upon this rotation? That is how you're going to be more competitive. Don't look at what the Cubs are doing. Don't look at what the Dodgers or the Astros or the Braves or whoever's doing, the Phillies. Look at what you're doing and say, how do I build upon this? How do I get better than Sonny Gray? How do I get better than Miles Michaelis and Lance Lynn?
How much better is Dylan Cease than Sonny Gray?
He's younger.
I didn't ask that.
Strikeouts are tick higher.
Just quantify a tick.
Okay, I can get you the actual number.
Well, because here's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
And it's specifically geared around a small percentage of Cardinals fans that were so upset about the Sonny Gray signing. Mm-hmm. And that they're pounding the drum. They're pounding it, Anthony.
Hard.
All over the place. And for Dylan Cease. And I'm just like, okay, I know he's younger. He got team control for 2 years. I understand all of the outside things. But when he's on the bump, how much better than Sonny Gray is he?
Let's see here.
Let's use last year's stats, too.
You just want to use last year's?
No, you could use them all, but last year wasn't great for Dylan Cease.
Last year, Sonny Gray significantly better. 2.79 ERA for Sonny Gray, a 4.58 ERA for Dylan Cease. If you want to just look at the career numbers, career-wise, Dylan Cease 3.83. Now, Sonny Gray's been in the league a lot longer, but a 3.47 for his career when you just look at ERA. If you're more advanced metrics, if you're a FIP or an XFIP, Sonny Gray XFIP career 3.67, Sonny Gray a 4.02. So from that standpoint, Dylan Cease, yeah. 4.02 was Dylan Cease. Sonny Gray was a 3.67.
So Sonny Gray is a better pitcher.
Yes. Now, when you look at...
So help me then. Anthony, help me.
Okay.
Hold my hand, interlocking fingers.
Of course, naturally, always.
And walk me through this.
If you're looking for strikeouts, Dylan Cease is going to be your better option for strikeouts.
Okay.
That's career-wise, and that's last year. Last year,
career-wise, how about average? Do they have, like, per 9? Because I like that stat.
10.88.
Okay. And
for last year for Dylan Cease.
What about Sonny Gray?
8.95.
Okay, so a little bit of a drop-off.
So strikeouts. So that's strikeouts per 9.
Yeah.
Dylan Cease is over a strikeout per inning, where Sonny Gray is just under a strikeout per inning.
Look, I'm not dogging on Dylan Cease. So if anybody who's texting, which I haven't checked the Air Comfort Service text line just yet, but anybody who's dogging on me right now for that, that's not what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I'm simply looking at it from a baseball standpoint. Like, if you're going to bash the Sonny Gray signing or you don't like it, but you're going to sit there and be like, yes, let's give up Nolan Gorman for Dylan Cease. Mm-hmm. there's not that much of a difference. In most of the cases for the numbers, Sonny Gray's a better pitcher, except for the swing and miss.
Right. Yeah, walks are higher for Dylan Cease. The home runs per 9 are higher for Dylan Cease. What you just said, though, is important. You mentioned Nolan Gorman. What's the price for Dylan Cease? What are you willing to give up? I am not willing to give up Nolan Gorman, and I've been steadfast on this. You're not going to give up. I don't want to give up young, cost-controlled, left-handed power. Sorry. That every organization needs that. Why? Because you don't have something like that in abundance. I would rather trade from what they have right now in the minors, which they lined up a lot of young pitching. I don't think they should just go ahead and give it all away. But they did, because of last year's trades, they did kind of stockpile some pitching, Jamie. They also have a bunch of super utility infielders that can also play in the outfield. I don't know I don't know if the White Sox would be interested in that. I think they'd probably go more for the young farmhands. But would you be willing to give up some of that young pitching that you have in the minors to bring in a guy that, as you mentioned, is cost control for the next 2 years, and he's only 27 years old?
Yeah, I would be willing to do that.
Same.
Yeah, because you have a proven commodity as opposed to an unproven prospect.
It improves your rotation.
Yeah.
So now you have Dylan Cease, Sonny Gray, Miles Michaelis, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, and you move Steven Matz to the pen, or you move on from him altogether. That is the way I'm looking at this. What's the cost? If it's Nolan Gorman, no thanks. Because as you mentioned, now the numbers start to play in. So I'm going to give up Nolan Gorman for a guy that is not going to pitch as well as the person I just gave $75 million to.
Yeah.
How much sense does that make?
And I understand. Look, the text line, some people obviously didn't hear the part where I said ignore his age, ignore the team control. Because they're throwing that back at me right now. Not in an aggressive manner, but just letting me know that, hey, there's still upside, too, to Dylan Cease. He still has room to grow.
They're right.
They're 100% right. And I never said anything about that. All I said is right now, in the now.
Yeah.
Like, would it be a massive addition, an upgrade over Sonny Gray? No, it wouldn't. It'd be kind of a parallel that you could turn into a big plus for you.
And you were really taking aim at the people that were sensitive about the Sonny Gray signing.
Totally.
That was your point, not necessarily about Dylan Cease.
More so the people that were negative about, like, they only got Sonny Gray.
Right.
But man, if we could only get Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Right.
It's like splitting hairs almost.
Well,
except for the age factor.
Depending on what it's going to cost you, why couldn't you get both? Why couldn't you add Tyler? Why couldn't you add Tyler Glass now? Why couldn't you continue to add to this rotation? Again, you're building a rotation.
Yeah.
And each slot should be up for, can I improve on this? This is how a winning team operates. They look at what they have, they look at what's available, they look at what the cost is going to be, and they look at whether or not bringing that player in, whether he's a pitcher or an outfielder, or an infielder that can play in the outfield, which is, I mean, let's be honest, it's gold right now for St. Louis. Can you improve upon the person that slots into that roster spot?
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at this.
I would deal prospects. I'd be happy to do that for a guy like Dylan Cease. And I would target Cease ahead of Glass now just because of the team control and the age thing, that whole bit there.
Right.
And I think there would be a great addition to the rotation if you can get it done. I mean, but who knows what the White Sox are truly looking for.
Yes.
We got a text from the 636. I'm willing to give up Anthony Stalter and Jamie Rivers for Dylan Cease. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not willing to give up two cost-controlled hosts on the afternoon drive show on 101 ESPN for Dylan Cease.
Did you say host?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounded something different. Either way, I'm okay with it.
Now, what would we be doing for the White Sox, though?
I don't know.
Do we go there and do radio?
I'm assuming.
That's going to conflict with Bally's. At least for now.
Something to think about.
It's a lot of gas money going back and forth.
I think all Cardinals fans would do that trade in a heartbeat. We're giving up two bums? Two bum radio hosts?
There's a couple.
For Dylan Cease.
There's a couple Cardinals fans that wouldn't do it. I mean, I'd like to think that my kids wouldn't do it.
I don't know. They've been watching the Cardinals more and more, and they know that this team needs pitching.
I'd like to think that Ashley and Kristen would. Never mind.
We'd be.
We'd be gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's an interesting deal, though. Yeah, us two for Dylan Cease. We'd be heroes, though. We would. We'd be the two schmucks that brought in Dylan Cease.
I was wondering what
Hometown heroes.
Hometown heroes.
I was wondering what the word that
Not so
that
much.
Jamie thought that I had said in the 314 just painted a nice
go.
picture
Yep,
for me.
they
That
sure
is
did.
not what
Yeah.
I said.
It sure sounded like it, Andrew.
Well,
Yeah, I knew where Jamie was going on that.
I'll have to enunciate my words next time.
No, you're good. All right, we appreciate the text there. Low ball offer to the White Sox, though, Texter, on that one.
Very
You
low.
We'll throw in a host to be named later.
Right. Yeah. All right, it's the Fast Line on 101 ESPN. He'd be willing, I'm sure. Are the Cardinals truly trying to be a World Series contender in 2024? Or are they just patching the boat? We'll get into that next on 101 ESPN.
Ooh, Anthony, no matter how cold it gets outside, FanDuel stays red hot, baby. America's #1 sportsbook for a reason. A reason being right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. So you get $150 back if you place a $5 bet.
Yeah, just have to have the team win.
Got to win.
Yeah, money line. Just
Winning
a money line
season,
play.
right?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Especially we don't even have to worry about the spreads, Jamie. You just pick the winner. So tonight you could just pick the Cowboys. If they beat the Seahawks, they're a 9-point favorite at this point. You win. That's it. And then you get the $150 back with FanDuel. You get that money. Then you could go with spreads. You could play the player props, the over-unders, the same game parlays. It's all available at FanDuel. But you do need to get signed up. So BT's got the rest for you. Are the Cardinals truly trying to be a World Series contender in 2024, or are they looking towards the future / in my words, are they looking to patch the boat? I think they're looking to patch the boat as of right now.
Well, as it currently sits, yeah, patching the boat. But if they did add another starter that would be equal or greater than Sonny Gray,
Now we're talking.
I think we're talking like, okay, you're still going to have some things go your way.
Right.
But it's if you squint, it's not that far out. Like,
Yeah,
make sense?
it does. Right now, they're patching the boat. Right now, they're looking at what they had last year and say, boy, we need 3 starters. And now we got 3 starters, so we patched some things. And we got 3 starters that we really liked that wanted to be here. 2 guys eat innings, Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. The other guy in Sonny Gray, right now he's our opening day starter. So they did patch the holes. But you can't say that they're trying to be a World Series contender unless they add somebody that's even better than Sonny Gray. Now, I'm realistic about this, Jamie. I'm not sitting here and saying or believing that they're going to be highly competitive for Yamamoto. If they are, that's great. I have to assume that Yamamoto is going to wind up signing a mega deal on the coast somewhere. That's just typically how it works. And I'm not somebody that's like, oh, Mo, you screwed this one up, without knowing if Yamamoto even wanted to be here.
Yeah.
Hey, he's friends with Lars. You screwed it up, Mo. Doesn't mean anything.
Why does that voice have to happen? I don't understand that.
Yeah, because you like it. You told me earlier.
You're right, I do.
So what could be available? Well, Dylan Cease might be available. Tyler Glasnow might be available. Those are 2 guys that would either be on par with Sonny Gray or better.
Who's your pick?
Probably Tyler Glasnow.
You get 1 year of him, Anthony?
But you only get 1 year.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Hey, sign him. There's nothing. There's no rules against that.
Why wouldn't? Maybe what if you get Dylan Cease and extend him?
Well, you could do that too, Jamie.
Okay.
Who's your guy?
Dylan Cease.
Okay.
Out of the 2, I'd rather take the guy
because of the 2 years.
Correct.
Okay. He's also 2 years younger. Glasnow is 30 as of right now. Glasnow, though, higher strikeouts than Dylan Cease, lower walks, lower home run. Tyler Glasnow is the better pitcher.
And he's also been hurt.
But you have to factor in. And
he's old.
He's not. He's 30.
He's a spring chicken next to the other guys.
I was about to say, he'd be the youngest guy in the starting rotation by about 3 years. But you can't say the Cardinals are truly trying to be a World Series contender with what they have right now. In fairness to them, they also have the entire offseason left, in which that they can either improve upon the starting rotation as is and or add to the bullpen. I don't think they have to do anything offensively. That's not letting the offense off the hook, though. That was not the murderer's row of an offense last year. They're not off the hook for their performance either. I broke down the runs that they scored. Just one simple-ass metric. How many runs did they score? They're 4th in the AL Central. So it's not like, again, they were banging last year. But I do think 1 through 9, I like this offense.
Yeah.
They need a better pitching staff. That's where the investment should go. That's where the resources should go this offseason. So if they don't make any moves offensively, I'm cool with it. Now, if you start to trade from your big league roster to bring in a Glasnow or a Cease, it's a different conversation. But as of right now, Jamie, I'm with you. This is not front office that's actively trying to be a World Series contender. This is a front office that's trying to fix the problem from a year ago.
Well, I'm not ready to say yes or no on that because it's not over. So it's to be determined.
Just as of right now.
As of right now? Yeah, but Anthony, as of right now, I can't even believe what they've gotten done. I didn't even expect this much. I expected maybe there to be one mid-rotation pitcher under contract right now, and they're still working away at the other guys. They're not. They get 3 guys signed to the rotation, which addresses a lot of your needs quickly. Now, as the roster sits today, it's an NL Central contender, and that's about it. You're getting the playoffs, but who knows what a week from now or a month from now holds for this team. And a lot of things are happening quickly, so I don't know. Yeah. I'm not ready to say that it's the same old, same old. That might turn its ugly head on me in a month and a half from now, and everybody's gone, the music stopped, there's no more chairs.
Right.
And this is what we've got.
And then you have Mo or whoever saying, hey, we did sign 3 pitchers.
We signed 3 pitchers, and we had good discussions, and, really, it's got to be a marriage, and, both sides have to want to be here.
Net, I feel like we're ahead.
Net, I mean, we got a couple of guys.
That's where I'm at, Jamie.
Yeah.
When you say when you're surprised that the Cardinals have already signed 3 guys, I'm with you on that. I think you nailed that. They've showed urgency. They've addressed what was, they addressed what was urgent, and now they're starting to get to some of the things that were important. I can't shake the fact that over the last, 5-6 off seasons, they have merely made the check mark based on the need, and then stopped. Last year, they needed to replace Yadi Molina. Did they do that? Yes. Did they do anything else? No. The year before that, they needed to upgrade from a DH standpoint because Juan Yepes and whoever wasn't getting it done. Did they address that need? Yeah, they got Albert Pujols. Did they do anything else? No. And on and on and on.
You hate them for this behavior.
I hate them for this behavior. Out of everything, you're right. Out of everything, this is the thing that drives me crazy.
You go back to that.
We all have something with the Cardinals, right?
Yes, it's true.
You might be in the camp, listening right now, you might be in the camp that feels that the Cardinals are cheap. They don't spend enough. That could be your thing. Some other people feel as though that, Mo can't, or the organization can't evaluate their own talent. And I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. That's your thing. My thing is going into the offseason with one or two things on the old checklist, checking it off, and being done. That, to me, is entirely complacent, and that is not how you build a winner.
All of the above.
Yeah. That's how to stay average.
I usually went with all of the above if I was taking a test. If I'm like, I don't know if it's this one, or that one. They all sound great or sound bad in this case.
Right.
All of the above.
Done. Yeah. How'd you do on test?
Well, I didn't have the answers that Jamie gave me to the test.
Yeah.
And so I'm here now, right?
Right, yeah.
We're here.
Winning.
I always laugh when I talk to somebody about the Gauntlet and they're talking about like random trivia. How do you not know that? I'm on radio. If I had brain cells, I'd be doing something
I
else.
don't know how many hearts elephant seal has.
Right. Yeah. How do you not know how many bones are in the human body? I'm on radio. I do sports radio.
By the way,
that's it. I did not pay attention in class. I was writing out like rosters and numbers.
Do you remember the Gauntlet question about a Bactrian camel?
Yes, vaguely, but yes.
I was at the art museum this past week.
Were you confused?
I was there.
Why'd you stumble into that?
I was with my girlfriend.
There it is.
I was with my girlfriend. That's
Jamie,
something
were you
she
waiting
enjoys.
for it?
Kind of at gunpoint.
Were you waiting for it? Because I was waiting for it.
But I was walking through, and there was a picture, a painting of a Bactrian camel. And I go, I know what that is because of the Gauntlet.
Nice.
This is a very educational show.
We teach people.
Trying to impress his
Yeah.
girlfriend. Hey, honey, I know what that is.
Well, it's still early.
I did.
It's still early, too. You can tell. They're in the, you're within 3 months, right?
No.
No.
It's been a while.
They've been
6?
It's been a while.
Been about 6-ish.
About 6. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just wait another 6 months or a year and be like, I don't want to go to a museum.
Exactly.
I've already been twice.
And that's where all the problems, that's where all the problems start. You're a year in, you're like, I ain't going there.
Yeah.
But why?
But you said
I don't
you
want to go
loved
there.
it. Yeah, well, I lied.
Hey, it's kind of becoming a guilty pleasure of mine. It's actually pretty cool.
The art museum?
Yeah, go check it out.
Anthony,
All right.
She's listening. You can always tell.
Okay.
She's off work today. She's listening.
I appreciate
Marshy,
that.
You know what, Marshy? You're right. I can see it in your eyes. You love it.
You know what I forgot the other day when you came in and said, you know what's really cool? The art museum. I forgot about that.
I wasn't here that day, but I remember you text me.
Yeah, I texted him. I said, you know, Marsh is cultured now.
Yeah.
So
I absolutely am.
yeah. All right. This is Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Can compete outweigh talent? Ooh. And this is kind of a hockey conversation, but I wonder if it applies to other sports too. So again, you got a player or players that have average to slightly above average talent, but they compete versus high-end talents. It's inconsistent in the old compete category. We'll get into that conversation next on 101 ESPN.
Holiday season is here, and you're going to have those holiday parties, holiday get-togethers. You're going to want to visit my friends over at Dirt Cheap, St. Louis's one-stop party shop. They've got a fantastic selection of all the beers that you like, all the wines, all the fine spirits as well. The bourbon selection is fantastic. Any bourbon that you're looking for, they have it or they can get it for you. I can tell you that much. But what they do have coming up starting tomorrow, the Bourbon Raffle. Yeah, it runs from December 1st to the 14th, and you got to be in store by scanning the QR code and enter the raffle. And you're allowed to have one entry per day per customer, and it's going to be drawn. The raffle means you'll earn the opportunity to purchase a rare bottle of bourbon. And the price on that one, by the way, is not secondary market. It's going to be what Dirt Cheap gets it for. So that's a bonus for you. Winners will be notified via email on or after December 1st. And that's Dirt Cheap for you. They're taking care of everybody during the holiday season, along with their bourbon raffle that starts tomorrow. You're going to want to be a part of that. So please visit all my friends over at Dirt Cheap. Tell them Jamie Rivers sent you in. And remember, have fun, but be careful out there.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Pregame starts at 6 o'clock. Puck drop is at 7, and you can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Tonight, you will hear Chris Kerber on the call, and we will have him on the show in the 3 o'clock hour, so stay tuned for that. Once again, Blues and Sabres. Pregame at 6. Puck drop is at 7. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Andrew March and Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. Jamie, you were breaking down something in the office today that I found to be intriguing, and it was really about compete and talent. And while we're going to focus in on NHL teams, this could be a broad conversation about any sport, for that matter, or really any industry. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, break it down for us.
So the age-old question is always, can hard work beat talent?
When talent's not willing to work.
Talent's not willing to work. You're right, Anthony. I had forgotten that part. Good job. But today, the new outwork is the word's called compete. Mm-hmm. We hear it on a daily basis from Craig Berube. We hear it from the Blues players. We hear it all over different places. And what kind of sparked my brain last night was the Rangers played the Red Wings on TNT last night, and Jim Vesey was asked a question by Paul Bissonnette just regarding about how Peter Laviolette, their new head coach, has changed some things or what he's talked about since training camp. And here's what Jimmy Vesey had to say, which sparked the entire thought process. Okay, so that's kind of what sparked my brain. I was like, you know what? Especially, in my opinion, in the sport of hockey, you can literally outcompete a team. Mm-hmm. And so Peter Laviolette, who has a tremendous amount of talent on that Rangers team, let's just be honest, okay? They're a talented group. But from day one, talking about how you're going to defend as hard as you play offense. You can be just as tenacious defensively as you are offensively. And now tracking competition drills in practice. Is it over the top a little bit? Maybe. But I understand the concept of it. Because if you have talented individuals that can outcompete the other team, you're winning.
Yeah.
You're absolutely winning. And right now the Rangers have been... they're first place, I believe, in their division. I'll fact-check that in a second because things change on a daily basis. But you just wonder, and let's just go back just for fun, our 2019 Stanley Cup team. In your opinion, Anthony, did the St. Louis Blues have the most talented team in the league?
No, not even close in some regards. Now, they had talent, but I, from just a pure talent standpoint, I don't even know if they were in the top 10 that year.
I would agree. They played a couple teams in the playoffs that I would argue had more talent. Not even a couple. Dallas Stars were loaded. Mm-hmm. San Jose Sharks were loaded. Couldn't finish the series.
Right.
They almost tapped out and said, don't worry about the next game. We're good.
Yeah.
Because the Blues outcompeted, outwilled, outhit, like everything. The Bruins had a ton of talent. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at that lineup. And so it brought me back around to the thought process of where the Blues are right now currently is the middle of the pack team, and we're still talking about compete levels and things like that. if Craig Berube, who we know puts a lot of emphasis on compete, if he can get this team to buy in like the Rangers have, as far as competing on a daily basis, can it make a big difference?
Yes.
I think it can.
So Simon Sinek he's an author, and he's done a lot on leadership. And there's a YouTube clip, and maybe a lot of you have seen it, where he talks about, and I believe it was the Marines that he spoke with. It was either the Marines or the SEALs. And he asked them, would you rather have a group that was incredibly skilled, and I'm paraphrasing this, so I might not get the exact wording correctly, but the overall, I'll land the plane on the overall theme. He asked the military group that he spoke with, would you rather have a skilled group that you can't trust, or would you rather have a group that you can trust but maybe average when it comes to overall skill? And you obviously want what you talked about before. You want talent that competes hard.
Yeah.
You want the best talent that competes hard. That's the ultimate. Same thing here. You want the most trustworthy people that also have the highest skill set. But that's like the extreme. What he found out was that the Marines want trustworthy. They'd rather have the most trustworthy guys as opposed to the ones that aren't trustworthy but have high skill. So they lean trust. So when you talk about compete, maybe the two words aren't, synonymous, but that's what I think about. Guys that might have average to slightly above average talent, but compete their ass off every single game, as opposed to the ones that have that high skill set, but aren't necessarily trustworthy when it comes to the competition. I'd rather have the first group, because even if you have high skill, you're wasting it if you're not willing to compete. The Sharks are a perfect example in 2019 that you talked about.
How about the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Maple Leafs, another one.
I mean, they've got skill from top to bottom in that lineup and just haven't been able to figure it. Heck, they won their first playoff series in God knows how long just last season. Mm-hmm. And they've got some of the most skilled individuals out there. And sometimes it takes a little bit of rubbing your nose in it to figure out you don't like that and you'd like to compete a little harder. And so we'll see what the Maple Leafs have this year and next year, because they're going to have this core group together at least for this season. And we'll see what happens beyond. But it just, to me, it's very evident, in particular in the hockey world. And I'm sure in football there's cases too, although you'd argue the talent of the quarterback and some skill positions there.
Yeah.
But again, you'd argue on the flip side of that, the defensive guy, if he can outcompete the wide receiver, it levels the playing field quite a bit.
So I got an example of this. Sorry to go back to like the high school. I don't do a lot of high school stories, so I'll go back to high school. There was a wide receiver that I think wound up playing D1 somewhere that was on our team. Faster than everybody, bigger than everybody. I mean, he was like 6'2", built, gym rat, like just this perfect wide receiver specimen. And I was a defensive back, so a lot of times we lined up, we'll line up against each other in drills and stuff. I'm 6 foot beanpole in high school, right? Like I weighed nothing. But the book started to be, if you jammed him at the line of scrimmage, if you were physical, just within the first couple of seconds, he was done mentally. And that's what happens. Mm-hmm. He got me speed-wise, he had me physicality, he had me everything. But if I got in his face, talked a little crap, and then bust him right out the line, he was gonna quit, and he was gonna get frustrated. So I do think that there is a level of that in other sports as well.
I was watching Hard Knocks, the in-season Hard Knocks for the Dolphins last night, actually, and I believe it was the first episode, they were talking about Max Crosby because the Dolphins were playing the Raiders at the time. And one thing that Max Crosby does is that even after the play, he'll get into the face of the quarterback, even if it's just a subtle shove or a subtle grab, just to let that quarterback know that even if that play is over, it makes that quarterback think, oh, maybe I don't have as much time as I really think I do. So maybe later in the game, that quarterback will end up making a mistake.
Yeah.
And throughout the entire episode, the Dolphins noticed that and they practiced that. So I think it goes to that level too, is just preparing your mind for little things like that to overcome what you were saying, a guy who can't get to that level of play because of one mental aspect of it. But if you continue to practice and practice and practice, that will just become an afterthought.
Yeah.
So towards the end of my career, actually most of my career, not as talented as some of the players you're playing against. And towards the end of my career, playing in some situations where you're up against guys like Joe Thornton, Ryan Getzlaff, like some of the top guys on other teams, I always used to think to myself, and Lawrence Taylor is actually a guy I'm going to reference right now because I watch an NFL films on him like eons back. And he talked about being able to stare into the guy's eyes by the end of the game and the guy not making eye contact with you because he lost the battle. It's crazy, right?
Right.
But I took that when I was just a kid and ran with it. And I always said to myself, by the end of the game, both of us will know who won the battle. And I don't want to be the guy who can't look the other guy in the eye. And so there's a million times where I got burned and scored on and things like that.
Yeah.
But if puck was in the corner, puck was on the wall, like no way I wasn't going.
Right.
No way I wasn't running in there 100 miles an hour. Most of the time, by the end of the game, I knew. I'd look over before one of the last faceoffs. No eye contact, no nothing. I was like, I got you. And sometimes it happened in the second period. I'd be like, I got you. Now I'm going to run this thing over you all day long. But that's what I'm talking about. So the compete factor has become the new X factor for me in sports. If you can outcompete the team that you're playing against in certain sports, of course, then you have a chance to win those games. And that changes the dynamic a little bit on how you build your team, specifically in the NHL. Look at the Vegas Golden Knights, to put a bow on this thing. They weren't the most talented team. They didn't have any of the highest scorers in the league. They had a bunch of guys who knew their roles, played well, played as a team, and they had a great defensive core who were anchored by two real, stars, Alex Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore, who doesn't get enough respect. After that, it was like meat and potatoes.
Yep.
Through their defensive core.
Yeah,
and they had
broken that
5
down.
goalies
Right.
that they used in the playoffs.
Yeah, they spat in the face of what we think wins in the NHL. Top end goaltending. Now, Aiden Hill played great, but top end, you have to have a number one goalie. You have to have, a number one scorer. You have to have scoring depth. Now, the blue liners, they're all big and physical, and you've broken that down. So it's not like they didn't have anything. But I do think that if you were to do like a top ranking of this is what's going to win in the NHL, I don't know if the Golden Knights had 3 of the top 5 things, but they did have one important aspect, which is you're going to have to go 3 periods against them.
Yep.
And play a perfect game.
Well, in the Vegas Golden Knights, Jack Eichel said on a podcast, I wish I could reference it directly. I forget what it was now, but he basically said that in the shower following the Stanley Cup championship when they won the cup, he's like, we could have played another round.
There you go.
He's like, we had enough in the tank. Like, we were looking around like, we're not done. We're not tired. We're not totally beat up. Like, we could go another round.
That's awesome.
And that's all conditioning, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, conditioning of the mind and physicality.
It's a form of compete.
Yep. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. One of the most talked about coaches in college football at the start of the year, somebody that we were praising big time for something specifically, is now getting criticized for it. That's next on 101 ESPN.
This time of year when everybody is thinking about the perfect gift for the holidays, perfect gift for a loved one. You name it. We're always looking for a great idea. I have one for you. It's called Sound Story. Sound Story is a professionally produced hour-long conversation in which you or your loved ones or someone important in your life gets interviewed by your choice of one of our personal professional interviewers. That's Randy Kerber, Tim McKernan, our very own Anthony Stalter. And all it is a conversation that includes their experiences from whether it was childhood, how about high school, maybe career, maybe it was athletics, maybe it was that special someone that they fell in love with. You get to ask them about it, and they will tell you the story. And the best part about it is it's saved. It's recorded. It's yours and your family's forever. You and your siblings also can go in on a gift certificate for your parents or other loved ones and get them a sound story starting at $399. Just visit at mysoundstory.com now through Friday. Enter the promo code ESPN. That's right, the promo code ESPN, and get 20% off that Sound Story gift certificate. It is an awesome gift. You'll love it. Your family will love it. Don't forget, Sound Story. For you, for them, forever.
One of the biggest stories in college football in September was Deion Sanders and the job he was doing at Colorado. And it was really on the heels of Colorado upsetting TCU in the first week, and then all this hype building around Deion and Shedeur Sanders, because nobody expected Colorado to do much. One, because they're Colorado, and two, because he had completely rebuilt his team through the transfer portal. But one of the things that, as the weeks grew in college football, one of the things that a lot of people were praising Deion for was his ability to bring in top-end talent. And boy, you better watch out for Colorado. especially when the transfer portal opens. Well, Deion is also right now losing recruits. The reports are that, there's guys either not interested in going to Colorado or interested in leaving. So what could that mean? I think there's two reasons that the recruits might be leaving or not interested in Colorado. One is maybe Deion doesn't want to play the NIL game. And it is a game. You have to be willing to, if you're going to bring in some of these top end transfer portals kids, you got to throw around the NIL money. That is now a thing. It is. Even Dabo Sweeney went to the transfer portal and got himself an offensive lineman, and he was hell bent on not going through the transfer.
He was so mad about it too.
He probably was disgusted by it.
He looked like he bit into a lemon.
Yeah, and a lot of people are not. Some college football fans, they don't like the NIL process. They don't like the transfer portal. I get that, but that's a separate conversation. So he's either unwilling to play the NIL game, and he's just saying, look, if you want to play for me, you want to get to the NFL, you want to work hard, you want to be a part of this thing, great, come on in. But we're not going to necessarily pay the top dollars in terms of the NIL money. Or, Jamie, these recruits are worried that he's going to just go to the NFL after next year. And that has been one of the underlying reports in college football, that he will not be with Colorado beyond 2024.
Yeah, I think it's more the latter for me, and here's why. Because I think Deion Sanders can get any NIL money he wants.
I'm sure he could
pick up the phone and call Amazon. He could pick up the phone and call Ford. He could pick up the phone and call any company in the country and say, hey, you ever thought about NIL? I got a couple players here,
right.
blah, blah, blah. Let's Neon Deion here.
Let's get him a pistachio deal or an almond deal or whatever. Sunglass deal.
What are some of your other companies that you have under your umbrella?
Yeah.
Let's make it for my running back, So I don't think the NIL money is an issue with Deion. And I don't necessarily think the NFL is the issue when it comes to Deion, because I don't know if Deion's shtick carries to the NFL. I don't know if his rah, and all the stuff he does. There are other guys that are Hall of Famers and all pros, and that sitting in there going, okay, Deion, the rah worked 2 weeks ago, but we've lost 2 in a row. And we're getting friggin' punished. What have you got for us?
Right.
Don't give me sunglasses either.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
I can buy my own sunglasses.
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't need it. You can't get me the NFL. I'm already here.
Right.
So like a lot of college coaches, including the great Nick Saban and other guys included, college is kind of the peak for them because of the way they approach the programs.
Yeah.
And so I think the bigger risk for these kids at Colorado is not him going to the NFL, it's him going to a premier program. Like if Jim Harbaugh, who's currently rumored to be in the Bears' plans, or they're thinking about it, if Jim Harbaugh went to the Bears and the Michigan spot opened up, I'm not saying that spot's tailor-made for Deion. I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Deion Sanders has a chance or gets an offer to go coach Michigan. It's a game changer for Deion. That is a historical program, whether it's that or, Texas Longhorns or Georgia or like one of these programs is going to open up in the next couple of years. Somebody's going to get fired or they're going to jump to a different team for more money. And Colorado, as great as it has been for Deion, it's not a premier spot for coaches.
Yeah.
It's just not. So I could see Deion doing this whole thing again in a year or two and telling all his players, by the way, you're all transferring. Or you guys here on this side of the room, you guys transfer. You guys are okay here. You can stay here in Colorado.
Yeah. Because he's not afraid to tell anybody the way it is.
So that's where I go with
this. That's a good call, and I agree with you. There's just some coaches that can't make it in the NFL. Saban was one of them. Urban Meyer was another. Urban Meyer thought he was just going to show up and he was going to be able to do the same thing that he did at Ohio State and at Florida and just have the ultimate power over these NFL players. They don't care. There was the anecdote, of course, in the book Saban about when Nick Saban got to Miami and he went on the practice field and he started barking at Zach Thomas, the middle linebacker at the time. If you remember old 54, Zach Thomas. And he turned around to Nick Saban and told him to go blank himself. He
was a pretty good player.
He was a really good player. So you have one of your star defensive players telling you to go blank yourself. It's a different ball game. You have to be able to understand your role in everything and realize that the players are often making triple what you are in the NFL. There's a lot of other guys. Steve Spurrier couldn't make it in the NFL. It's not a knock. It's just like you said, their philosophy, their shtick works better in college. So Deion, would he go to the SEC? If Lincoln Riley gets fired at USC, would he go to USC? Would he go to UCLA?
Where did he go to college?
Florida State. Yeah.
Aren't they bouncing?
No, Florida State's got Napier, and Napier's done a pretty good job.
No, I mean...
Or Norvell, excuse me. Mike Norvell.
What, are they in the SEC?
They're in the ACC.
The ACC, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I just was trying to put 2 and 2 together there.
Yeah, I can see that.
On that one, but
No, I could see it.
We just had that conversation about talent, and it seems like Deion wants to bring in all that talent. From this season, do you think that Deion is the best at pulling out that talent from players in terms of getting them to show off their talent? Because the talent is there. There's a reason why they are at that level. But do you think he's done a good enough job at actually extracting that talent and having those players play at the highest level?
I think
their abilities.
Yeah, I think he has. I think we have to go back and realize that he was getting. Sure, he was getting some guys that came from, the one kid was supposed to go to Florida State or LSU or one of those big time programs, and the kid that
Travis Hunter.
Thank you, Travis Hunter. He was the number one guy. He was going to go, play in the SEC. Then he wound up going with Deion. Got him. That is a bona fide NFL player.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He also was taking guys from, I'll just use an example, not literally, but like SEMO, and using them as starters. He wasn't getting all Travis Hunters. He was getting because he cleaned house.
Right.
So when you going back to your question, I do think he got the most out of the talent he had. He also didn't have a ton of depth, which is one of the reasons why I think Colorado, as great of a story as they were, really fell off at the end. But if he goes to one of these other big programs, let's keep in mind that one of the reasons why he went from Jackson State to Colorado, in his words, was, hey, I don't need the money, but my coaching staff could. This means a lot to my coaching staff. So if you get to a school that pays even more than Colorado, would he do that? So I could see why he's maybe losing some recruits right now.
Yeah, I could see
losing that battle
a little bit. But I also look at it too, where when they go into the recruiting aspect of this year, whether it's a transfer portal or not, although there were 4 and 8, you go back and look at some of these games, like they were right there with USC.
The fact that they won 4 was remarkable.
But they're right there with USC. Should have beaten Stanford. They didn't. So that's 2 more wins there. So you flip the script a little bit on that one.
And then they're going bowling.
That's, well.
Seriously.
Ish.
6.
Yeah, you're right.
You get 6 wins. You're right, Jamie. If you look at their schedule and where they could be,
they lost to Arizona by 3. They lost to Utah by 6.
Right. There's some close games. Yeah, he did. I think he did a remarkable job. And he's a culture builder. He is. He's a culture builder. Now he's got to also find the right coaches to work underneath him so that they can maximize the talent too, as Marsh was talking about. All right. We know what role, or at least how much commitment the Cardinals are going to get from Yadi when it comes to the coaching staff. Some of you might be disappointed in it. I think that this is a massive positive. Tell you why next on 101 ESPN. Auto Centers Nissan, boy, they've got unbelievable financing options available that couldn't come at a better time. You know where the rates are. You know that, boy, right now where the rates are where they are, it's tough, right? But they've got financing options available for you at Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum that are going to blow you away. I think it's the best financing team that you're ever going to find at any dealership. No money down, no payments for 90 days, 0% APR for up to 5 years. Those are all options when it comes to the vehicles that they currently have. In fact, they've got over 700 vehicles on their lot in Herculaneum ready for you to test drive and take home right now. You don't have to drive around. You don't have to drive around the greater St. Louis or Illinois area and look for your next new ride. It's all available at Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum. Plus, you can enter to win a brand new Polaris ATV. Grab a hot dog just for stopping by. No purchase necessary on that. And check out their pretty much still brand new facility out in Herculaneum. But one of the other reasons that I love Auto Centers is the knowledge and the customer service that you get from the people that work there. Whether it's Jerry, who does a great job of sales staff, Curtis can tell you everything about, Pathfinders and any Nissan vehicle. He's outstanding, loves what he does. Everybody that works here loves with his service department, love them as well. They do a great job. So you're going to feel like you're being taken care of right when you walk in the doors, or visit them at autocentersnissan.com. Peruse, check out the vehicles that they have, then head down to Herculaneum. When you do, tell them Stalter sent you. Love to hear that, and they'll find you your next new vehicle. It's Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum. So one of the bigger offseason storylines for the Cardinals has been what will Yadi decide, and what will the Cardinals decide for Yadi when it comes to joining the coaching staff next year. And I know a lot of Cardinals fans are hoping that, maybe be the bench coach, maybe he'll replace Ollie and just be the manager. But what time commitments would Yadi be able to work with when it comes to the Cardinals? And now we know Yadi is going to be basically a consultant for the Cards in spring training. That right now is what he's willing to give up from a time standpoint. He's got a family. He still has aspirations, he says, to be a full-time manager at some point, but that time isn't right now. So I'm not privy to these conversations, Jamie. You weren't there in the room either. I imagine, based on what we know that Yadi has said and what Mo has said, is that both sides were extremely interested in Yadi joining the coaching staff in whatever capacity. Uh-huh. But what was he going to be willing to do from a time commitment standpoint? Well, now we know. He's going to be with them. He's going to have a heavy role within spring training.
Well, I think there's more than that, too. I think if you read on... You'll
Throughout the year?
Throughout the year, he's going to have scheduled visits where he comes and he's a part of the team in various capacities.
Yeah.
So here's the way, in my opinion, here's how this broke down. And this happens a lot to players that want to get involved in coaching or managing, whatever sport you're talking about. You know the sport so well, and you feel like you've been coaching it and breaking it down throughout your whole career, and specifically towards the latter part of your career, you feel like I've really helped young guys. I've helped this. I've helped that.
Right.
I got this. I want to be a coach. Then you see the time commitment that goes along with it. And I'm not saying Yadi wasn't, that he isn't a dedicated guy. But the time commitment is massive. And so I think the Cardinals probably outlined what a bench coach would look like as far as hourly, daily, monthly, all this stuff. And Yadi probably said, that's a lot. Like, I love baseball, I love the Cardinals, but I also have some personal things I'd like to accomplish.
Sure.
Or even just be with family or whatever the case. Now, again, full disclosure, I don't know if all this is true. This is my opinion. And so at that point, I think that the Cardinals said, well, what would you be willing to do? Well, here's where I see myself being able to help the team, yada, yada, yada. So this consultant gig is basically a title they give to guys who are going to help the team in any capacity that's needed. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
So if they have a problem with their catching, Yadi's going to fly in for a week or 10 days and be a part of the team, travel with the team, be a part of whatever he's got to do.
Right.
Spring training's a given. He'll be there for when catchers and pitchers report and start, set the table properly for everybody.
Yeah.
And then if there's a specific player, whether it's a pitcher or a catcher that they need work done in, middle of this season, Yadi will fly in and do some work with that. So it's kind of the consultant gig is literally that. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be just working in one department just for this, just for Ivan Herrera or Wilson Contreras. It's going to be wider than that.
It's going to be a great situation. Yadi has an opportunity to see if this is what he wants to pursue full time. He'll be there. He'll be instructing guys like Wilson Contreras and Ivan Herrera. He'll also set the table for what should be expected for the Cardinals. That we talk all the time about culture. You have to build a culture. The expectations need to be set forth. So having Yadi in the building in any capacity is a great thing. I don't think that having him be a full-time coach would have been the smart thing. You don't know how much commitment you were going to get out of Yadi full-time. Because you're right, he's got other endeavors. Now, if Yadi gets in spring training or goes, does these consulting roles, sees what's going on, sees how much work is being, put forth by the coaching staff, and says to himself, yeah, this isn't for me, but I'll be around as a consultant. Awesome. Now, if he gets in and he goes, this is what I want to do. This is what I don't care what the commitment is. I would do things differently. This is how I do things. Okay, great. Now you can expand the role.
Yeah.
You get a little appetizer. You get a little taste. See how it's going to work out. I know some people might be disappointed that Yadi didn't just become, the replacement for Ali Marmol. This is a better scenario.
It's way better. It's way better, and I fully endorse it for any athlete that's leaving the sport as a player and looking to become a coach. It's way better to jump in, like in the hockey world, be a part of like player development. And you go and you scout some games, you work with some of the young prospects, you're around for the prospect camp, you go through training camp, you help out, you start to get a taste for what it is rather than just taking this guy who has been a pro hockey player or pro baseball player their entire life. Mm-hmm. And then you say, oh, by the way, now you're just going to be a full-time coach. Poof. But I don't really know what goes into it because I've always just been on the other side of it. No matter how good you are as a teacher or motivator, teammate, leader, all these things, until you've experienced some of these things firsthand, you don't know what it's like. I speak from experience. Mm-hmm. Leaving, the NHL, I thought it was going to be a slam dunk. I'm just going to go be an assistant coach somewhere. I learned quickly that there is a lot of work that goes into it.
Right.
And I put my time in. We talk about Ken Hitchcock being honored tonight for being in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He'll be dropping the puck with Pierre Turgeon tonight at Enterprise Center. Ken Hitchcock was a huge part of my development as a coach because he let me take the baby steps along the way while I got to ask him questions.
Right.
Rather than just saying, hey, by the way, here's your job, I get to ask Ken Hitchcock questions. I get to ask other head coaches and assistant coaches questions and kind of figure it out. It's no different for a guy like Yadi. Mm-hmm. It's not that he doesn't have the information or doesn't know what he's doing. That's irrelevant.
Right.
It's the processes that they have to go through sometimes in order to be successful as a team, as a unit.
Absolutely. You and I go to the gym almost every day. We work out there. We see how things are. We see how the setup. And all. Doesn't mean we can run the gym. You know, it's a different job.
I'm not a personal trainer.
No,
exactly. You're right.
Did everybody like the way that Skip Schumacher managed this year, the Marlins? Everybody loved that? He started off as a scout for the Padres. Yep. Eventually got moved to their first base coach. Then was promoted to the assistant or the associate manager. Then he was the bench coach for the Cardinals, as you all know. Then he became a manager. I think there needs to be, and granted, you know, look, Skip Schumacher was a very good player, a great Cardinal, a very good player. Certainly, you know, not on the same level as Yadi, but that it's irrelevant. It's the steps that you need to take in order to understand what it takes, understand the failures, understand what others have done, and then you can kind of mold it into your own.
We got a text, Anthony.
All right, this should be good.
From the 314. Says, so you guys think that Yadier Molina doesn't already know what being a coach entails? I doubt that very seriously. He's been around Tony La Russa, along with other managers and bench coaches. He knows what it entails.
While he was catching.
Yadi was at the field half of the amount of time that those guys were. It's a bottom line. I was around Scotty Bowman. Does that automatically?
Right. And Joel Quenneville.
You name it.
Right.
I was around those guys, so I'm ready to win a Stanley Cup. Just give me the whistle, coach. I'm good. Yeah. No, it doesn't mean that. There's a big difference from being a player and being able to explain a system to a teammate and all this. Those are great. It's just like at work. When you work next to somebody in the cubicle or another office and they have something that they don't understand, but you do, you've been through it, you walk over and you explain it to them, they have success. It doesn't make you the CEO of the company.
Right.
There's more that goes to it than just knowing that one piece of information. You have to know everybody's information.
What about dealing with the media?
Yeah.
Every single day, before
Yadi
games,
is a little
after
standoffish
games.
sometimes with the media.
I know this to be a fact. Not that I've had any sort of interactions with Yadi that went poorly or anything like that. Not far from it. I just know from, you know, people that I know that have talked about Yadi. He's not a huge fan of the media. I mean, every single day, that's part of the job. You can't avoid it. So I think, again, this is great. He gets a consultant, and then we can build upon this. Again, I think it's a really
it's a positive thing. I think it's awesome, and I actually applaud Yadi for approaching it this way.
Nailed it. You're absolutely right.
I think it's perfect.
Yes.
So this is not a negative segment. This is a pat on the back to Yadi for being smart and reasonable and knowing that these are part of the process if he really does want to be a manager.
Well said. That's Jamie Rivers and Anthony Stalter. Jamie tonight will be on with Bally Sports Midwest as the Blues take on the Sabres. We've got all the coverage for you right here on 101 ESPN, starting with the pregame show at 6 o'clock, and then you'll hear from play-by-play man Chris Kerber. And actually, we'll talk to Curbs next on 101 ESPN.
If you're looking to save money right now on your car or your home insurance, please call Tracy Bibb and the Bibb Agency. They are part of Allstate Insurance. And I can tell you this, with Tracy Bibb and the Bibb Agency, you're going to get that personal attention that you need from your agent, because whenever you do have an insurance claim, it can be confusing. It can be frustrating. It can be scary, all of the above. And you're going to want to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody that understands what you're going through, that knows you, that can automatically jump in and help you and guide you in the right direction. I did not always have that. I had a 1-800 number, and every time something would happen or anytime I had just a question, it was really difficult to get answers. It was stressful. It just was not good. And then I found out later on that I didn't even have the right coverage. And I didn't have the right coverage because nobody even talked to me about it. Well, that changed when I joined Tracy Bibb and the Bibb Agency. She's got me fully covered, competitive rates. And whenever you pick up the phone to call the Bibb Agency, they take care of you. They do an unbelievable job for me and my children and everybody with my family. So please pick up the phone and call Tracy for a non-committal quote. That number is 314-328-4260. That's 314-328-4260. It's no fib. You're in good hands with Tracy Bibb.
Time for Curbside with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
It's a Fast Line on 101 ESPN with Jamie Rivers and Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. Let's head to our 101 ESPN Celebrity Line. Talk to the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, who you can hear tonight as the Blues take on the Sabres. Our pregame starts at 6 o'clock. What's up, Kerbs?
Anthony, how are you today?
Doing great. Did you guys have a nice Thanksgiving?
We did. It was quick, having gotten in at about 3 in the morning, but you take advantage of the days when you get them like that. So we had an awesome Thanksgiving, and man, then it feels like we were right back out on the road.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's kind of a tough holiday schedule here for the Blues, but you guys know, you're veterans, you know how to operate it.
Oh, yeah.
Kerbs, 21 games in. They're 11-9-1. How would you evaluate this Blues team to this point?
I'd say decent in one word. I think some other words maybe I'd use is I'm encouraged. With the start of the season, it gives you hope that the team could make the playoffs this season. I think inconsistent would be a word yet that I think you still had to mix in there. Mental toughness could probably use a little work as, they've got to keep from, falling too far behind in some games and be able to claw their way into some other games. I think the goaltending has been great. I think the team defense has been good. I think the power play has been awful, and the penalty killing has been really solid. So, all in all, I think a pretty decent start to this season when you're 21 games in, sitting in the top wild card spot, and could be in a better position had you played better in a couple of games.
Curbs, based off the lines from morning skate, if we are to assume that that's what we'll see tonight, what's stood out for you?
Well, Kevin Hayes, going over to the left wing with Braden Shen, I think is the number one thing that jumps out at you. I have wondered for a little while when we might start to see Oscar Sundqvist elevated in the lineup. And I thought maybe it'd be him on the left wing, because what what jumps out at me with this move, and we didn't get a chance to talk to Craig Berube this morning, but what jumps off the page with this move to me, if he does play on the left wing there, Jamie, is one, there's a gaping hole as a centerman. Right now, he's been your best face-off guy, and it's even better than Robert Thomas's 55%. But Kevin Hayes has been spectacular on the dot. But it also shows you that they're really struggling to find who they want to play on either the left or the right side. You know, maybe on that second line right now with Braden Shen. He sputtered a little bit again after getting hot with only one goal in his last 7 games. You know, but again, he's had different line mates and trying to get it going. I do think that if this team is going to be dangerous, if this team is going to be consistent and really be, I think, a playoff threat, a threat to make the playoffs, I just like Brandon Saad's versatility on the third line to be able to move up the lineup when possible. And, Jamie, if they haven't had enough consistency out of Kyrou, they haven't had enough consistency, I don't think, all in all, out of Brandon Saad, and clearly not enough from Verana, who's going to be scratched again. So I think they're trying to figure out how to manage the wingers in that situation.
Curbs, you just talk about, Jacob Verana, and look, we know he's blessed with a ton of skill and speed, and, for whatever reason, it just hasn't really been put together on a consistent basis so far this year for the Blues. When you look at a player like that who's kind of finding himself in and out of the lineup right now, what do you think the immediate future might be for someone like Jacob Verana, or even beyond that?
Well, honestly, I wonder if someone like a Nikita Alexandrov or somebody that when they get a chance to get in the lineup takes a hold of it, makes some things happen, and kind of forces them to keep Verana on the bench. Sometimes the opportunity missed by one is an opportunity that could be taken by another. It's an interesting scenario there. One, you've got him on the cheap, obviously, with Detroit taking half of his salary. There is, the skill is there, but he's got to shoot the puck. And I just got to think, and Jamie, I know you and I have talked a lot about this. I got to defer to you, having been in the locker room, and on the ice in those situations. But I got to think that this is as easy a coach to play for, at least in terms of knowing what you need to do, as possible. And for Craig Berube, it's not about go out there and score a hat trick every night. It's just be impactful and compete harder. And if you don't do that, you're not going to play for this coach. I got to think the message is very clear here.
Chris Kerber joining us right now on the Fast Lane on 101 at ESPN. Kerb's big night for Ken Hitchcock, big night for Pierre Turgeon. What are some of your favorites Ken Hitchcock moments when he was here in St. Louis?
Well, there's several of them. Some of them are funny depending on how you look at it. I just love the fact that when Doug Armstrong walked into the locker room after bringing Ken Hitchcock on board, and he replaced Davis Payne, Doug Armstrong looked at these youngsters trying to take the next step to a winning culture, like a TJ Oshie, a David Backes, a Patrick Berglund, a David Perron, an Alex Pietrangelo, Alexander Steen. And Doug Armstrong looked at the players and said, well, I know I have a good coach now, so if it doesn't work, I know it's going to be you guys. And I mean, and that's a heck of a message, that was sent. Ken Hitchcock brought a no-nonsense. He was an old-school coach. He doesn't care if you're a friend of his as a player. He found a way to squeeze every bit of blood out of the stone on you and demanded a heavy, hard style that, honestly, it really took the franchise to another level. And while he wasn't here to see it through for a Stanley Cup championship, I have no doubt that his imprint was all over that championship. And while we're at it, go to Pierre Turgeon real quick. For a while there when Scotty Young was putting up back-to-back 40-goal seasons and things like the chemistry between Scott Young and Pierre Turgeon sometimes I think gets overlooked in terms of center winger forward that the St. Louis Blues had. But, man, those two were great for those few short years they were together.
Kerbs, the Sabres in town tonight. What can Blues fans expect from a Buffalo Sabres team?
You know what? I was just looking this up, Jamie. So they have missed the playoffs 12 years in a row. That's like 5 more years than any other NHL franchise right now. They're on their 7th coach in that 12-year stretch. Donnie Granato's in his third full season, but right now they're sixth in their division, and they're 3 points out of a playoff spot. Yet, you're going to get some excellent skating and some speed in Skinner. Tage Thompson is missing his seventh game with a wrist injury after blocking a shot on the penalty kill. They've got 3 first overall picks on defense. How about this? First time in NHL history it's happened. 3 first overall picks in Dahlin, Eric Johnson, and Owen Power. So to me, it's still a young team that's just trying to find a way to get to the winning culture. And I think in talking to some of their guys this morning, I think they thought after knocking on that door last year that they'd be right there to start, and they don't but maybe I didn't realize this year you got to reset that whole thing and how hard it is to even get to that level. So maybe a little bit like the Blues, inconsistent, but Jamie, as we even saw against Minnesota or as we saw against San Jose, take anything lightly here, and you're going to find yourself losing by 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah, no kidding. These other guys are still being paid, so they don't care what the record is.
Yeah, that's right.
Curbs, we'll be listening tonight as Blues take on the Sabres, man. Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend.
All right, guys. Have an awesome week. Thanks.
Appreciate you. Thank you. But hot take or hot garbage will be played next. 314-399-9646 to the Air Comfort Service text line. Text in your hot takes. We'll play hot take, hot garbage next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Pregame starts at 6 o'clock. Puck drop is at 7, and you can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. We just talked with Chris Kerber. If you missed that interview, you know what to do. Go to the website, 101ESPN.com, or check out the free 101 mobile app. You can find all of our interviews and all of our full shows there, and it's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Also tonight, the Cowboys taking on the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. We have hot take or hot garbage coming up next. If you have a hot take, send it our way to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Hot take or hot garbage coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, the independent American standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's a fast lane on 101 ESPN. Time to play hot take or hot garbage. What do you got, Marsh?
All right, hot take or hot garbage. The Las Vegas Raiders trade Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams this offseason as part of a full rebuild.
Davante Adams and Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is only playing on a one-year deal, right? Didn't he just sign the franchise tag? I can look that up. Yeah, I can see it though.
I believe he did the same thing that Saquon did, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he's a free agent. So,
oh, that's right. Okay,
hot garbage. Can't trade him. But let's just take the idea that they're gonna rebuild. Who are you hiring as your head coach? That's the question.
Yeah.
If they lure in, if they do the Raiders thing where they hire a big name guy. I don't think you're going to get him and then also say, hey, by the way, we're going to rebuild.
They might just stick with what they have because they should have done that the first time.
Antonio Pierce, you're talking about with Antonio Pierce? Yeah.
Seems like everybody gravitates towards him, and it seemed like they played for Bisaccia too.
Right. I think if they stick with Bisaccia, they could undergo a rebuild, but if they bring in some of the bigger names that you're hearing, whether it's Jim Harbaugh or Belichick or whoever, then they're not going to rebuild. But I understand the question. I kind of like the idea of trading Davante Adams, trying to see what you can get, draft capital.
If you're the Raiders, can you really go through a rebuild right now? They've kind of been crappy for a while here.
So would you use? So maybe you don't say rebuild. Would you use your best trade chip, which is Davante Adams, to spark a retool? I would say yes.
Or do you start building around him?
I wouldn't build around a wide receiver.
Well, first of all, they have to figure out the quarterback position.
Bingo.
So you can't rebuild anything without a quarterback.
Right. You're not one Davante Adams away from figuring things out, clearly, because you tried. Right?
Can't get him the ball.
Can't get him the ball.
Yeah.
Or even when you do, you still lose.
Yeah.
You can target him 17 times. It doesn't matter. You haven't been able to run the ball this year, and your quarterback situation's in flux. So I like the idea of trading Davante Adams to spark a retool.
I'm fine with it.
Jamie, I think you'll like this one. From the 636, hot take or hot garbage, the Hardee's Iceplex will forever be the best local rink St. Louis has ever had. R.I.P. H.I.P.
Oh, that's a hot take for sure.
Oh,
it was different, man. It just was different. You've got some fantastic rinks. And look, I'm simply outlining the atmosphere at the Hardee's Iceplex. I'm not talking about constructural things and engineering and quality of ice and quality of locker rooms. And it's besides the point because the newer buildings like Centene and even the new Maryville are fantastic. Arenas that have been built. The St. Peter's Recplex is awesome too. But there's something about Hardee's. It was just the way you walked in, Anthony. I don't know if you ever had a chance to get in there, but you walked in the front doors and it was just this massive lobby with a snack bar, and then you had one rink to your left, one rink to your right, and one rink far right, all the way down the hall. So everybody congregated in the lobby. You had to walk through the lobby to get anywhere in the rink. So on every single night of the week, like you talk about a hockey community, people were there.
Yeah.
There were people that would go there on nights where their kids weren't even practicing and grabbing a bucket of beers in the lobby.
Just watching.
And no, it's because they knew they're going to run into somebody.
There was a giant TV, if I'm not mistaken, right to the right. And before it was the Hardee's Iceplex, I believe it was the Summit Center. And then I forgot what it was called before that, but that's when they had the giant like figures on the
It was the U.S. Ice Sports Complex.
Yes.
That's what it was. It was actually built for the Blues to become their new practice rink. I was on the team that first went into that. So
That's cool.
But it was just a great atmosphere. And when I first started running Synergy Hockey, at the rink, 6 out of 7 days a week, like it was amazing. Just the people to build a company. It was not easy, of course, but it was like you get to see these people. You're on the ice. You're talking. You people. It was just like
that's cool.
It was a really cool hockey community.
Yes.
I remember when they decided to tear it down. Obviously, there's a Topgolf there now, and a lot of other
thanks,
cool
Topgolf.
Yeah, I mean Topgolf's fun, but it's no Hardee's Iceplex. I remember being mad, and I wasn't even playing anymore.
Oh, there were
I was in college. I'm like, why are they tearing that down? They're ruining it for the kids.
Were pissed, man. You're not alone on that one. A lot of people were pissed. It was unfortunate that it had to happen, but it did. So, kind of sucked.
And you mentioned the Recplex, the South Rink, which also got torn down. That had a lot of character to it.
Oh,
the
it sure
big
did.
bubble.
Yeah.
It was freezing cold at points when you would go there dead of winter playing at the South Rink.
Good times.
Good times.
Yeah, good times.
Good times, Anthony. I know you were on the ice doing the clear camp there.
I've tried, but
Yeah. From the 636 hot
a lot
take.
of red tape.
Or blue.
From the 636 hot take or hot garbage, the Cards will trade for an outfielder before a starting pitcher.
That's a hot take. I mean, a hot garbage.
I was like, what?
Hot garbage, yeah. No, I said the wrong thing. A hot garbage. If you're thinking like Randy Rosarina or something, no.
Yeah. No, they've got enough outfielders and infielders that play the outfield that I can't imagine they would trade for one unless they could package 3 of them for one.
Right, which...
Yeah, just don't know why anybody else would do that.
I mean, as of right now, you got Lars, you've got Jordan Walker, you've got Dylan Carlson. For the time being, you've got Tyler O'Neill. You still got Alec Burleson. You still have Tommy Edman and Brendan Donovan, who played some outfield. So
Wilson Contreras.
I don't think Wilson's going to be in the outfield.
You don't know that.
He is an infielder.
True.
You don't know
point.
that.
Yep. That's a real good point, Jamie.
This one's from the 314. Hot take or hot garbage? Jake Neighbors is starting to remind you of an Edmonton-era Doug Waite.
Ooh, who's that?
Neighbors.
Jake Neighbors.
Reminding me of Doug Waite?
Edmonton Doug Waite.
No, he's not. I love Jake Neighbors. He's a hell of a guy. He's a great young player. Dougie Waite Edmonton years was a cheat code. He was good. He was good. He was hard to hit. He was elusive. He protected the puck. He could open up the hips, close them, stick handle. He was a nightmare to deal with. And Jake Neighbors is playing well right now, but he's not a nightmare for anybody else to play against. Dougie Waite was one of the best players in the league at that point. So, yeah, I mean, it makes me sound like I'm dogging on Jake Neighbors, but it's apples to oranges at this point.
You're highlighting how good Doug Waite was.
Yeah.
Hot take or hot garbage coming from Corey and Soulard. Because the Cards backloaded the Sonny Gray deal, they will sign a reclamation project and Lucas Giolito to a 1-year deal, then use their major league outfield depth and Steven Matz to trade for a back end of the bullpen piece like Liam Hendricks from the White Sox.
I think that's a hot take. I think that's good. I think that makes a lot of sense. We were speculating what the backloaded contract could mean yesterday for Sonny Gray, and that was one of the possibilities, not to that detail. I love the text. But we speculated whether or not the $10 million that Sonny Gray will make this year opens up the possibility the Cardinals will bring in whether it's either more help for the rotation or to the bullpen. So that certainly makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, so does the financial aspect of this season.
There it is.
Which, I mean, if you're going to bet on a horse, it's probably that one, Jamie.
Yeah.
That the Cardinals are moving around some finances saying, well, we'll be in better shape next year. As opposed to
if they're
this
doing
year.
that, if they just say, you know what, just doesn't make sense for us. And it may not.
But I do like the reclamation project idea. All right, last one.
From the 636, we were just talking about Yadi or Molina. Hot take or hot garbage? If Ollie can't get the Cards to the postseason in the next year or two, he gets fired and Yadi comes in as the new manager.
I'm not going to call that hot garbage.
It's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle. That's a good way to put it. I could see
it's
it
hot
happen.
Something.
I could see it happen, but I think there's too many Cardinals fans trying to talk that into existence that I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
a lot of people are starting to believe that, this lines up perfectly because Ollie he's on his last year and Yadi will take over and all.
Well, and some people forget the road that Ollie Marmol took to get here. Like, we've had a couple of texts. Well, they gave the damn job to Ollie. They didn't just give him the job.
He's been in the organization for
freaking forever.
Many years.
Working every single aspect of the game, whether it was scouting, coaching, bench coach, pitching, whatever you name. Like, Ollie has been there. So I think the Cardinals probably learned their lesson a little bit about just giving a manager's job to a former player because they thought he was a hell of a player, i.e. Mike Matheny, who I love Mike.
Which wasn't a disaster.
It wasn't a disaster.
Got him to a World Series.
But he had no managing experience, and he was a great leader and a lot, not all, a lot of the same qualities as Yadi had. In fact, he mentored Yadi.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if you thrust Yadi into full-time manager right away. That's to be determined.
Well, we did get a text from the 314. Liam Hendricks is a free agent. The White Sox non-tendered him.
Oh, there you go.
So from 314, Liam Hendricks is a free agent, you moron. I don't know if he is calling us morons or if he's calling the texter a moron for saying
I think both.
something. A little bit of both?
Yeah, I think a little
somewhere
bit of both,
in the middle.
We didn't correct
I just
that.
think the texture's intense. That's all.
Yeah,
You know?
passionate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Compete, baby.
He is
he's
competing.
competing.
Over talent.
He or she is competing.
Yeah.
I like fiery.
I mean, when you could call somebody a moron for
Yeah.
not knowing a transaction had already occurred, you got a lot of passion. A lot of passion.
I really like that insult.
Moron?
Yeah, I don't know. I just, you're a moron.
I think that is one, though, that you better be prepared to be punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I think moron.
You moron.
and-
It's very insulting. It's kind of arrogant. Like, that to me is grounds for you should be punched in the mouth, or at least be accepting of it. And like, you can't do it. You said you can't do anything about it. You said you called me a moron.
Okay.
I'm going to jack you right in the face. Whereas like dum dum or something like that.
Dum-dum.
That's like
What about puke? I think that's underused.
Ah, you're puke.
like
Like
that guy's a puke. Or you're a puke.
yeah.
I think it's
I think it's
underutilized.
underused. I think it's underused.
I think
Yeah.
it's very graphic in the fact that, like, if I look at you and say you're a puke, you
Right.
know exactly what I think of you.
Yeah.
What about loser?
No, Anthony.
No, I got it. You're calling me that. I got you.
I think loser's actually a pretty underrated insult.
Is it?
I think so.
I
just
think
like,
it's
man,
very schoolyard.
schoolyard.
You're a loser.
Well, when I think of
And
moron,
you get the L on your forehead. I'm like, okay.
when I think of moron,
okay, Fortnite,
I
go
think
chase
of
yourself.
The Sandlot.
Moron.
Yeah, you moron, scab eater, butt sniffer, fart
L7.
smeller.
I just think of you're an L7 weenie from the Sandlot.
Yeah,
What?
Oscar Mayer even.
Oscar Mayer.
Footlong. Dodger dog.
Yeah.
A weenie.
Marsh gets it.
Yeah, I bet
Where
he
were
does.
you on that?
Yeah.
Anyways, Jamie's going to give you the keys to victory. I also think that I should probably take my punishment while Jamie's still here.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
We'll go down the hallway, grab the airsoft gun. Let's get this over with. Plus, keys to victory, and we'll play first goal of the game next on 101 ESPN.
If you're looking to give somebody a fantastic gift over the holiday season, what about accessories for their vehicle? Everybody loves their vehicle. They always want it to look fantastic. head over to Pure Performance, and they will help you out through the process. They are your one-stop shop when it comes to aftermarket accessories, whether you have a brand new car that you're looking to accessorize right away, or maybe you have an older car. Maybe it's 2, 3, 4 years old. Maybe it's 10 years old, and you want to give it new life. No better way to do that than heading over to Pure Performance, located right there off Highway 70 in St. Peter's. They got a 25,000 square foot facility. When you walk in, please ask for Shelby. Tell Shelby that Jamie Rivers sent you in. She's going to ask you, what are you looking to do? What kind of vehicle do you have? And then she's going to point you in the right direction. And they have so many amazing things available, whether it's on the outside, even there's computer chips and amazing things to boost the performance of your vehicle. The technicians are fantastic. You're absolutely going to love everything over there at Pure Performance. So please stop by and visit them in person. If not, visit them at pureperformance.com. That's pure, P-U-R, performance.com.
It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Jamie, you ready? Do you have honors today?
Yeah, you want me to do that? Okay.
Yeah, because when Mar shoots, I get one in the hamstring, one in the spine, one in the ear. He's all over the place. So let's get this over with. I lost in the Pick'em Challenge this past week. I finished last. I got 3 shots coming to me. I'm not looking forward to it, so let's just get this over with.
All right. Anthony, get over there and assume the position. All right, so Anthony, although we're a winning team, there has to be a loser on our team, unfortunately. Marshy, do we have the camera set?
The cameras are all ready to go.
Okay.
We can do a practice shot, though.
Why?
Well, I mean, just in case, you know.
We did.
Okay.
I'm standing the appropriate distance behind my little sound bar over here.
Okay.
And now, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Nope. Okay.
Misfire.
All right. This thing is misfiring.
Uh-oh. Looks like I got to do it.
Did that one not work?
Nope.
This thing is it did fire when it almost hit me off the skull. I don't know.
I got you, Jamie.
You got it?
Yeah,
All
I can get it.
Go ahead. Marshall, take over here.
Do your keys to the game, man.
All right, keys to the game while we're trying to manipulate the airsoft gun here. It did work, because one did come back and almost hit us in the head
The
earlier.
key is to pull the lever down,
Yeah.
and then as our friends on our Air Alliance team YouTube cameras can see, and then you just kind of shimmy it in there.
Yeah.
You gotta shimmy it.
You got to
Jamie.
shake it.
Then shake it.
Rattle and roll.
You gotta shimmy it in there, then shake it around.
Yeah, that's
And
always the
you
best
got
way
to
to do
twist
it.
it.
Oh, you just
Keep
twist.
twisting.
You're,
All right,
you're talented,
While
Marsh.
you're twisting it, Marshy, here are the keys to the game.
Please, Jamie.
Tonight for the Blues. First key to the game for me is a big start. You know, you've been on the road. You came back for a game against Nashville. That didn't go well. Back on the road. The last game wasn't great against the Wild. You need a big start here tonight. Got to get everybody going in the game. Quick shifts. Get everybody ready to compete early and go from there. Key number 2 is get the forecheck going. Same thing as far as big start, get the forecheck going. The forecheck last game against the Wild was almost non-existent in the second period, and moving forward, you got to get back to playing your brand of hockey, and your brand of hockey includes a good forecheck. And the third one for me is special teams. And the penalty kill has been good for you. It hasn't been great at home. It's way better on the road, one of the best in the NHL. At home, not so much. So we got to be ready to answer the bell that way. And the power play. Power play's got to score some goals. Got to help you out. Those are my 3 keys to the game.
Nice. All right, Marsh, you feel good?
I feel good. You want me to?
No,
Just quit pointing that thing at me.
Here you go, Jamie. By the way, our YouTube friends, they have called themselves the Snake Pit.
Oh, wow.
That is what they want to be called.
All right. Speaking of snake pits. Oh. Here we go. Oh! It worked that time.
Oh, that hurt.
It worked. Did I get you right in the middle that time, Anthony?
Right here.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. You have 3 shots.
Let me take it down a notch.
Oh, this is
then.
great.
He likes it. This guy's a weirdo. All right, so we've had, okay, here we go. Last one, Anthony. It hurts me more than it hurts you.
You have jeans on, too.
It's terrible, isn't it? It's like it hits you, and then it almost burns. I'm sorry I had to do that to you,
I appreciate
Anthony.
you got like both cheeks at least.
I moved it around.
Left
You
cheek,
did.
You
right
always
cheek.
prefer when I move it around.
I do, Jamie. Yeah, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Punishment served. Okay,
All right.
let's not have that again.
Nope.
Let's do our.
Just saw it on the camera. It's hilarious.
It's nice, huh?
Yeah.
First goal of the game.
It's funny, yeah?
Let's go, boys.
We need you to score more goals.
Get those loose pucks.
Thomas to Kyrou. Score! Goal!
No big deal. Game winner.
All right, Marsh, we still got 1 goal apiece between you and I.
Yeah, Jamie's
That's it?
looking to get on the board now.
Yeah,
All right,
seriously,
then,
Jamie.
Jamie, you go first.
All right, so Kerb's talked about Braden Shen. You know, he has to get going again. He's going to get going.
Tonight.
Braden Shen's my horse to score the first goal.
Okay, Marsh.
I'm going to go with Jordan Kyrou tonight.
Well, Roozy.
Jordan Kyrou. Why don't you give me Booch? Pavel Buchnevich.
I like that. It's a good one.
Thank you.
Booch.
There you have it. All right. Blues, Sabres tonight. Right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starting at 6 o'clock. Jamie Rivers is out. He's headed to
Arizona. Tonight, the Enterprise Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow, Arizona. It's hard to keep track of all this.
You got to head down to, listen, don't go to the airport first, Jamie.
You never know. At this point, Anthony, I've been on and off of it.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
I have to take pictures now of my room key and mark and text it to myself what city I'm in.
That's not a bad idea.
I know. John Kelly showed me that because the one day I'm like, what floor are we on here? Yeah. He's like, I always take a picture of my key.
It's a great idea.
All right,
Jamie. We'll see you, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll see you next Monday, I guess? Next Tuesday, maybe?
You'll have me on the show next Monday.
Okay.
From lovely Las Vegas.
Nice. All right. So maybe we won't have Jamie on that day. We'll try to find him. Travel safe. Have a great broadcast tonight, man.
All right. Thank you very much.
Gauntlet next in the Fast Lane on 101 at ESPN with, by the way, BT joining us for the final 2 hours of the show.
Jamie Rivers with Anthony Stalter, along with Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. Stewie, everybody wants to refinance all the time, and they don't know when to do it. Is now a good time to do that?
You know what, Jamie? We just signed an ESPN listener. Great folks, wonderful folks. They just bought a house a month ago. Their rate was close to 8%. We refinance them right now with no closing costs. Save them $200 a month on their payment and got rid of the PMI. There's no waiting period. You can do it right now. Rates are sliding. Now, people call me and say, hey, I don't want to refinance right now because there's cost involved, and I'm waiting till the rates get down low enough. This is a mistake with us because, with the bagel loan, how much they have to pay, Jamie?
Zero.
No closing costs at all. So there's an old saying, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. Refinance now, save the money now, rates go down later, you can do it again. As long as it doesn't cost you a dime, you're way ahead of the game.
There you go. So just call our guy Stewie at 314-324-4440 or Google the bagel loan. Call him, text him, day, night, weekend, weekday, doesn't matter. Stewie's there. Hands out his personal cell phone number because he wants you to feel like you're being taken care of. So give him a call. And, mention that you heard it on 101 ESPN with Anthony and Jamie, and Stewie's going to take care of you, and he's going to save you money over the long term. That's for sure. He's also going to give you the best information possible. Stewie, keep up the great work.
Have a good day, guys.
NMLS number 226715.
stories, one challenger. Can you master the gauntlet?
Brought to you by Master, your hometown source for business communications for more than 30 years. Visit masstour.com.
Time for the Gauntlet in the Fast Lane where it's 4:02. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. And joining us for the final 2 hours of the show is our guy, Brad Thompson. What's up, BT?
What is happening, Anthony? You guys sound fantastic today, as usual.
Well, Brad, thank you. We're so excited to have you in this program today. And you might be up for the Gauntlet.
I can't wait. It has been a while. I wasn't selected. Actually, I was selected the other day in the Gauntlet, Anthony. I did the show, and I got, I think, 1 point, but it was good enough.
Oh,
football,
well, there you go.
Football I struggled with, Anthony. A lot of college stuff. Had my issues, but a win's a win's a win.
Marcia, the questions that day were incredibly difficult, so
if you have not been paying attention this year, yes, Anthony, they were.
Hey, to each their own. Well, we welcome back Aaron back to the program. Aaron beat me in round 1. So he's going to choose between Marsh and BT today in round 2. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Doing great, my friend. So since you chose me, you got to stick with the opponent. Would you like to take on BT or Marsh?
I want to do babyface, Brad Thompson.
The old babyface, Brad Thompson.
All right. Hey, what category did he get you in, Anthony?
It was football, so he cannot choose football today. It will be either baseball or hockey.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's go. Not hockey. All right, I'm going to go and shoot me a text, Anthony, when it's time.
You got it. Sounds good.
All right, brother.
And
all right.
By the way, Mike, who was one of our Gauntlet contestants, he still is. He made it to the 3rd round. He and Kyle were chirping each other yesterday, and Mike wants Aaron to know 3rd rounders are listening. No pressure in the Gauntlet today.
Wow. Okay. So, Aaron, without further ado, tell Marsh to spin that wheel.
All right, spin that wheel, Marsh.
Brad is doing some inappropriate things right now on the camera. All right. We have, is that a rando? It is. Random is the Gauntlet category today, Aaron. How you feel about that?
I'm probably the most confident with random. I'm glad.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll see if you can be the 3rd person to get to the 3rd round today. Each question is worth 2 points unless you ask for the options. And those questions turn into a 1-point opportunity for you. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. What was the name of the eccentric billionaire who broke the transcontinental U.S. speed record in 1937?
I'm going to need the options.
I am shocked that you didn't know that off the top of your head. Charles Lindbergh, Howard Hughes, or John Jacob Astor?
Howard Hughes. I actually should have known that.
Final answer?
Yeah.
I wasn't even looking at the options. I thought you were going to say John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. All right, question number 2. Who taught Luke Skywalker the ways of the Force on the planet Dagobah?
I'll need the options.
Options are Yoda, Mace Windu, or Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm going to guess Yoda. I've actually never seen Star Wars. I'm ashamed to say.
Wow. That's kind of surprising.
Is that is Master Yoda your final answer?
Aaron, final answer?
Let me do Obi-Wan. Yeah, I'll go with Yoda. I really don't know. I'll go with Yoda.
Okay. Question 3. If a bowler records a turkey, how many strikes in a row is that?
3.
Final?
Final, yep.
Final question. Name the lead guitarist for U2.
He goes by the Edge. Do I need to know his real name?
We'll accept the Edge.
All right.
Final answer?
Yep.
Okay. BT is still on his camera phone here, so we can see him in the in the studio, so I just signaled for him to come back.
Look at that walk. Wow. It's like he's coming out for a WWE match.
Yeah, no kidding. Aaron, how you feeling?
I don't know.
Okay. Fair. All right, so BT's putting on his headphones right now. He's logging back in. BT, you got us?
I got you. How we doing?
Well, Marsh, why don't you go ahead and tell him?
Pack a lunch, BT.
Gosh, darn it. I wasn't ready for that.
The wheel spun random today, BT. The wheel spun random.
It's my favorite.
Is it?
Yes, usually.
Okay. All right, well, here we go then. Question number 1. What was the name of the eccentric billionaire who broke the transcontinental U.S. speed record in 1937?
Broke the speed 19. Eccentric billion. I want to say Howard Hughes. If I'm guessing at this one, very eccentric, kept himself in a room, peed in jars, Anthony.
Whoa.
I don't know if he drank out of the same jars, never cut his nails. At least that's what they said in the movie, but I don't remember that part of it. I'm going to go Howard Hughes anyhow.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
All right, question number 2, BT. Who taught Luke Skywalker the ways of the Force on the planet Dagobah?
Oh, man, you know I'm a Star Trek guy. I'm leaning towards Scotty or Spock. Who taught him the ways of the Force?
That is correct.
And this is Obi-Wan Kenobi?
You have to tell us.
This is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, who taught Luke
Luke Skywalker. Got it. Is it Obi-Wan Kenobi? Maybe it was Obi-Wan. I don't think, because I think the little green guy, Oscar the Grouch, he taught maybe Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan ipso facto. I'm going to go Obi-Wan Kenobi. Final answer.
All right. Question 3. If a bowler records a turkey, how many strikes in a row is that?
Oh, Anthony, gobble, gobble. That's 3 in a row.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Question number 4. Name the lead guitarist for U2.
U2 lead guitarist. You know, Anthony, I've seen U2 in concert twice.
Have you?
Outstanding. Now, that being said, I'm not even a U2 fan. Went for the show. So their lead guitarist, I'm sure, as soon as you say his name, I'm going to be like, that's him. Or you might throw out some other names and be like, no, that guy's on the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So I am going to go with the options here.
The options are Slash, The Edge, or Howie Blackmore.
Oh, boy, Howie Blackmore certainly seems like a real outlier here. But The Edge sounds like somebody... Mono Edge. Yeah, that sounds right. Give me The Edge. Final answer.
All right. Let's go over these. BT versus Aaron. Let's start off with the first one. What was the name of the eccentric billionaire who broke the transcontinental U.S. speed record in 1937? BT, you went with Howard Hughes. Aaron, you went with Howard Hughes. Correct answer is
Howard Hughes.
But BT did not use the options, so we have a 2-1 lead for Brad Thompson. If a bowler records a turkey, how many strikes in a row is that? Aaron, you said 3. BT, you said 3. Correct answer is?
It is 3.
Neither of you needed the options on that one. Nice job. BT holds that 4-3 lead over Aaron. Name the lead guitarist for U2. Aaron, you said The Edge. BT, you said The Edge. Correct answer is?
It is The Edge.
But Aaron did not need the options on that one.
Do it, Aaron.
So we have a tie right now. Last question. Who taught Luke Skywalker the ways of the Force on the planet Dagobah? Both of you seemed very confident in your answers, yet asked for the options. BT, you eventually went on to choose Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I didn't ask for the options, though.
You didn't?
No. Just went with Obi-Wan.
Who was an option?
Thank goodness.
We found that out because Aaron asked for the options, and he chose Oscar the Grouch. otherwise known as Yoda. Aaron, you also thought about Obi-Wan Kenobi. If it's Yoda, Aaron wins and he advances to the third round of the Gauntlet. If it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, BT wins. Aaron.
You have chosen wisely.
It was Oscar the Grouch, otherwise known as Yoda. Congratulations, Aaron. I'm glad you didn't flip. You were thinking about it when we asked your final answer. You thought about going Obi-Wan. It wound up being the one that won it for you today because you stuck with Yoda. Nice job. Congratulations. And again, you've advanced to round 3 of the Gauntlet where you'll have to take on Marsh.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Congrats. Nice job.
Aaron, way to go.
Thanks, Brad.
Oh, man. Anthony. Golly, see, I knew it would catch up with me at some point. All this Star Wars bashing over the years.
Yep, it cost you today.
It was going to catch up. Didn't do my research.
That's okay. You tried
I've
hard.
seen most of the movies, too. I just don't know. I don't know the order you're supposed to watch them in, Anthony. There's a lot going on.
You definitely got to watch it in release order.
See, but I've heard different. I've heard, like, you should do chronological.
Oh,
Anthony, how did you consume Star Wars?
You know what I did, BT? That came out in, the 80s, 70s? 70s? Yeah. I watched it once, I think in like daycare or whatever, and never watched it again. What? Yeah.
They had it on at daycare, did they?
They did, yeah.
So you only watched the first one?
Yeah, I think so.
So you didn't even know that Luke Skywalker went to Dagobah?
I had no idea. I don't even know what Dagobah is.
It's the swampy planet.
I was worried.
No idea.
Oh, is that the place where the big fat guy is in the place?
Jabba
the bar area?
No.
That's him.
No, that is Tatooine.
That's Tatooine.
Marsh,
That is where Obi-Wan Kenobi finds Luke Skywalker. Or actually, Luke Skywalker finds Ben Kenobi, essentially. Both kind of fight each other.
Obi-Wan teaches him the way. Is that not right?
A little bit.
He teaches him something, just not the way.
He doesn't. Luke doesn't really get into becoming a Jedi until he visits Master Yoda on Dagobah.
Well, what were
which
they
is
doing
in
at
an Empire?
Tatooine?
They were on Tatooine because Luke lived there.
Okay,
Took up residence. He took up residence there.
It's a tax thing.
Taxes are lower there. Marsh is saving us from all the Star Wars fans just absolutely hating us, BT. So nice job there, Marsh.
Them in soccer.
All right. It's a fast lane. BT's with us for the next 2 hours. Will the Cardinals wait until the deadline to possibly get another starter? We'll pick BT's brain about that next on 101 ESPN. Tonight, you got the Cowboys, you got the Seahawks, and you can bet it all at FanDuel. Right now, all customers get a no-sweat same-game parlay for the Thursday Night Football game. Just place a 3-leg same-game parlay on this week's game. Tonight, Seahawks and Cowboys, you get bonus bets back if you don't win. And BT, NFL same-game parlay is the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. So maybe you like the Cowboys tonight, you're going to lay the 9 or 9.5 points. You're looking at some of the CeeDee Lamb props or maybe some Dak Prescott props. Put up big-time numbers at home this year. Either way, however you want to build it, you can do so at FanDuel, and you take advantage of the no-sweat same-game parlay that's available at FanDuel.
Dude, no doubt. The parlays are a blast. Same game. I mean, especially on a standalone game like Thursday Night Football, you're going to love it, and you're especially going to love it over at FanDuel. And here's how you get in. Here's how you take advantage of that is go to FanDuel.com/fast. That's FanDuel.com/fast. Don't miss out on your chance to get a no-sweat same-game parlay on America's #1 sportsbook. You know what it is. It's FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and over, present in Illinois. Refund issue is not withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
To assume 5 starters, all in their 30s, are going to hold up and be healthy all the way from opening day to the end of the year, it's just not realistic. So I think there will be another free agent signing, another 1-year deal, and I don't think that Dylan Cease thing's in play anymore. I don't think Corbin Burns was ever an option. So the big trades for the Cardinals, I don't think are going to happen this offseason.
That was the one and only Greg Amsinger from MLB Network, who appears regularly with our opening drive. Randy Carricker, Kerry Davis, and Brooke Grimsley talking about the Cardinals maybe getting their next starter at the trade deadline as opposed to this offseason, with Brad Thompson filling in for Jamie Rivers and Anthony Stalter. And BT, logically, that makes sense. I don't see the Cardinals signing 4 guys in free agency to join their starting rotation. I could see them trading for somebody before spring training, whether that's a Dylan Cease or a Tyler Glass now, or somebody that maybe we haven't seen, and because we don't know what the trade market looks like. But Greg does bring up a good point in that these guys are older. To assume that there's not going to be an injury that impacts you, maybe the Cardinals' next starter comes at the trade deadline. But I don't think that could be the game plan. Do you?
Well, what would your alternate game plan be then, Anthony?
I would say that signing a reclamation project, on a 1-year deal. I know the guys are starting to fly off the free agent market pretty quickly now. Like Luis Severino, for example, signed with the Mets. He got $13 million. So signing somebody on a 1-year deal and moving Steven Matz to the bullpen, I think makes a lot of sense, because it gives you an extra cushion of, you got Zach Thompson, you've got Steven Matz, who have been starters before, that could be kind of internal options if in the first half you start to have any issues with injuries and the such.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And actually, when you said that, by the way, I think that Matz is your reclamation project, in all fairness.
Yeah, that's true,
due
too.
to the fact that he's been, limited, right? Was it 27 starts or something like that, maybe 29 over the last couple of years. And he is, honestly, to me, he's one of the most interesting pieces not named Sonny Gray that the Cardinals have. But I am, unless you end up getting some guy that could just help you, like a swing-type pitcher, right? They can help you whether it's in the rotation or in the bullpen. I have very little interest in adding just more depth to add depth. Mm-hmm. The Cardinals did a very good, if you're going to add to the front. That's the only way that I think that makes this ball club any better, because they did a very good job of adding. When you add Lynn, you add Gibson, as we talked about plenty, you add certainty, you add innings, you add guys that end up taking the ball. Same thing with Sonny Gray, but at a higher level, second in the AL Cy Young. Like, you have certainty in your rotation. Now you have a situation where you have a lot of young guys, Anthony, that are hungry anyhow, but instead of giving something to him, you got that hungry dog. Just give him some food. He just keeps coming back. He's hungry. They'll make him work for it. You got to work for your food now, and if you want some more of it, guess what? You have to do good.
Jump backwards.
You got to be who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? You need to be a good boy. So here's the problem over the last couple of years, Anthony. I think that we've had you have young talent and you have guys that have ability, but and I realize that you have to fail. God, do I know that you have to fail at the big league level. That's part of it. It's part of the routine. But you also need to earn things at the big league level. And I think that that's kind of where we're at now with some of these depth pieces, if you will. Like we saw Jake Woodford get thrown into a lot of games. We saw Libby get thrown into a lot of games. We saw some very good things. We saw some not as good things. But I think that they did a good enough job now with the starting 5 you have on paper. And Greg Amsinger is absolutely correct in and I don't care if your rotation is 34 plus. And I think your youngest starter is Matz at 32 something. I think he turns 33 maybe in March or something of next year. Or you have all young bucks. Somebody's going to get hurt. That ends up being part of it. But that's when you end up going to your hot hand, where you have 3 or 4 guys that are in the Memphis rotation, or they're in the bullpen being a swing guy, that are fighting it out to get that opportunity. I'd rather see that than adding another just kind of a random project. You know what I mean?
Let me clarify. I was responding to what would be a better route than what Greg was suggesting.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, you just let me go off on 5 minutes without clarifying, Anthony.
No.
Jump in.
I completely, for the record, I completely agree with you. If you're going to add at this point, you add to the top of the rotation, whether that is Tyler Glasnow or Dylan Cease or, again, somebody that we're not thinking of. Who knows? Maybe Yamamoto is still, an option. I don't think he's an option, Brad. I don't think
I would doubt it.
Yeah, he's probably going to go to the coast. Anyways, no, you add to the top of the rotation. You're trying to improve upon what you already have. If there's going to be an injury, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait to the deadline like the Cardinals have done before. But to your point about making some of these other guys earn it, they have more internal options that are more intriguing now. Zach Thompson being at the top of the list there. I am not. No offense to any of the other players. I'm not interested in, Woodford carving out a spot. I think if it's going to be anything, it's going to be, in the bullpen, but even that seems to be a bit of a stretch. I think we know what he is. I think we know what Dakota Hudson was, which is why they decided, hey, I think we can move forward now without him. You know what these guys are. Some of these other younger guys with high upsides, if somebody's having a great start in AAA and you need somebody at some point, I would be interested in that and feel a lot more comfortable this year in having one of those guys come up than maybe in previous years where it's like, hey, let's see what we got in Dakota Hudson again or Jake. No, these guys have floors and low ceilings.
Well, and the hope is that with the pieces that you added, bringing in 3 starters at this point, is that you do it sparingly.
Right.
It was one of those things where whenever these guys do come up, whoever this next crop is, right after Woodford gets non-tendered, and the same thing with
Hudson.
Dakota Hudson.
So Woodford was also non-tendered.
Correct.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, my bad.
Yeah. So, but who knows? Like, he could pop back up in the organization. Like, they like the guy a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's comfortable with where he's at. But there are a lot of pieces that are moving around. But even the next crop, right? Your next crop is Zach Thompson, who was a first rounder just a couple of years ago, showed the ability that he is a big league arm. Matthew Liberatore, we've seen, as I said, some good flashes. That start that he had against the old team that traded him, the Rays. You looked at that and you go, "What? Do that, dude? Right. That's a good lineup. Just go do that." And he's trying to figure out how to bottle that sort of performance, but you want to keep those, I think, sparingly. And the hope is that these guys continue to develop, and they're still young enough, and then other guys like Tink Hence and McGreevy and Jerpy and all these guys along the way, not to mention a guy like Tekoa Roby, who you picked up in the deal from the Rangers, and maybe it's Reberse or Kloffenstein. I mean, you've got a bunch of different options right now, but those guys get time to actually full-on battle it out. I'm really interested, honestly, this year, Anthony, not just watching the Major League rotation, which we're all going to be tuned in on, but also watching what Memphis and what Springfield looks like, because there's not as much opportunity at the big league level right now as we've seen in years past.
Do you think that Liberatore, and I'm not asking you for, with the Cardinals view him, just from your standpoint, do you think Liberatore better profiles as a reliever long-term or as a starter? Do you think he could carve out a role as a starter?
I don't think he profiles as a bullpen guy at all. Honestly. Okay. Not really. I think that he's very, and that could change, obviously, but I believe him to be pretty routine-oriented and incredibly intelligent. But I think that he's best suited for like game planning for a few times around. But when I say that, I also kind of wish, and this is speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but Anthony, that's never stopped me before. I wish that he would stop thinking sometimes when he's out there and just pitch, because that is one thing. When I talked to him after that game against the Rays, one of the things that I asked him, I go, "Hey, what was different?" And he's like, "Man, I just found myself out there just in every moment, pitch to pitch." And that's the key. Sometimes it's very difficult to be thinking about, okay, well, scouting report, I had this, and that. Last time around, I did this, that, and the other. That's where oftentimes, by the way, you're leaning on your catcher to do a lot of that work. You're leaning on the staff to do a lot of that work. But you have to go out there and just flat out compete. And I think that if once he gets that in, because I believe that he looked more mechanically sound last year than we've seen him over the last couple of years. Big kid, young, a lot of moving parts. That looked better. Now I think that he's just got to learn how to pitch and believe in every pitch that he has. But I truly believe starter for him. Not that he can't pitch out of the bullpen, not that he doesn't have a big arm, but I think he's a starter.
That's Brad Thompson. I'm Anthony Stalter. And Andrew Marsh has got what's trending next in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7, and you can catch all the action right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. We talked with voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. If you missed that interview, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We're going to get back into Cardinals baseball here shortly, but we have What's Trending coming up next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
What's trending in the world of sports? The Fast Lane has you covered. What's trending now?
Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate to Goodwill to win a magical Polar Express staycation.
With Brad Thompson, I'm Anthony Stalter. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Don't forget, we've got a 6 o'clock pregame for you for the St. Louis Blues and your Buffalo Buffaloes. We haven't been saying
Buffalo Buffaloes. God, I missed that. That is Anthony, that is one that needs to be like on the board, ready all the time.
Yeah.
Buffalo Buffaloes.
The Buffalo Buffaloes. Shout out to our dear friend, Chris Duncan. We miss you, pal. Miss you every day. Think about you all the time. Laughing about you constantly.
Every show
Laughing
that
with
we
you.
do together, Anthony, we end up talking about Dunk. Remember last time we were talking about how he made 3 errors in 1 inning?
Yes.
Or no, I'm sorry, 1 play.
1 play.
Not even one inning.
Right.
Which is something incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And he told the story in impeccable fashion. He was one of the best storytellers that I've ever been around. All right, Marsh, what do you got for What's Trending?
All right, guys. Nick Saban was on the Pat McAfee show. He always joins Pat every week. And he said, regardless of the outcome in the SEC championship this weekend, where Alabama will take on Georgia. Georgia is a 5.5-point favorite. He said it would be a disrespect to the SEC if there isn't an SEC representation in the college football playoff. Your guys' thoughts, and do you even think that the committee would leave out an SEC team even if Bama ends up upsetting Georgia?
I'll answer the second question first. No, I don't think the committee will leave out an SEC team. I think if Alabama beats Georgia and they're the conference champion and their one loss is to Texas, who is ranked, and they've got a slew of victories, I think 4 against ranked opponents. They got Ole Miss, Tennessee, and it would be Georgia, so they would have 3. I think Alabama would be in. I don't know if they're 1, but I think Alabama would be in.
So would Georgia, in your eyes, be totally out then?
No.
Or would they just...
Yeah, I don't think
that would be 3-4?
I wonder, Brad. I wonder if Georgia could still get in. Now, it depends on what happens. So if Florida State loses to Louisville, then it opens up the door for either the loser of the SEC championship or the loser of the Pac-12 championship getting in. I don't think the loser of the Pac-12 champion. I'm sorry, if Oregon loses, they're out because they'd have 2 losses. So let me rephrase this: if Washington loses to Oregon in the Pac-12 title game, I don't know if they're necessarily out if Florida State loses, because they would have wins over ranked Oregon, ranked USC, ranked Utah, ranked Oregon State, and their lone loss would be to Oregon in the Pac-12 title game. All right, not a lot of teams stack up to that resume.
Lay it out for me real quick, Anthony. Mm-hmm. If Oregon beat Washington,
they're in.
If Alabama beat Georgia,
they're in.
Give me your top 4 then.
If those 2 scenarios happen,
correct.
What happens to Florida State?
Florida State, we'll see. You know what, Anthony? Let's just say Florida State somehow wins, but we also take into account who is on the field and who is not at times. It's a committee still, right?
Yeah. I think that would be the ultimate. That wouldn't be great. If Florida State wins.
Just push them out, even if they win?
If Florida State, I'm talking about for college football fans.
Yeah.
If Florida State wins and Alabama wins and who'd you say, Oregon?
No, that would be an undefeated Florida State. Yeah, let's say they lose. Let's just say they lose for this. That's not fair.
They'd be out. They'd be out. Here's what I think is going to happen. All right?
Okay.
And you're going to like this when it's all said and done.
All right.
I have Georgia beating Alabama.
Correct.
I've got Michigan embarrassing Iowa in one of the worst conference title games we'll ever see. Georgia, Michigan, 1 and 2. I have Oregon beating Washington on Friday night. So
Me too,
Oregon is
Anthony.
in. And I have Texas beating Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game. I have Louisville upsetting Florida State. It would be a small upset, but an upset nonetheless, in the ACC title game. So as soon as Florida State loses, they're out. I would have Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Texas as my top 4.
Hook 'em, Anthony.
That's your
Hook
team.
'em. Gosh, everybody knows that.
Because Texas would have wins over Bama, Kansas State, and then Oklahoma State. They would have 4 wins over ranked opponents, and their one loss would be to 12 Oklahoma. If it's not Texas, again, I could see Oregon getting in. I'm sorry, Washington getting in with a loss.
So, again, you think about regionally, right? You think about brands. Obviously, you have the SEC and Michigan. Georgia, Michigan, huge brands.
Yep.
Oregon, though, your new school, maybe even younger football fan. Loving that. Texas has been, a key cog in it forever, but lean years for a while.
Sure.
Like that gets a lot of eyes on the prize if that is your 4.
Yes, I think it'd be interesting. Now, somebody might say, well, Ohio State's ranked ahead of Texas. I don't care. Ohio State's done. They're done. They have wins over Penn State and Notre Dame. That's it. Their resume doesn't stack up to Texas. It doesn't stack up to Florida State. It doesn't stack up to Washington or Oregon. It just doesn't. So as soon as Texas beats Oklahoma State, they're going to climb ahead of Ohio State, and that's going to be it for them.
Last thing here, this one is interesting. Maverick Carter, who is the manager for LeBron James, and his business partner told federal agents in 2021 that he had bet on NBA games through an illegal bookmaker, the Washington Post reported today. In his admission in November of 2021, Carter told federal agents that he could not remember placing any bets on the Lakers and denied placing bets for others, according to a report summarizing the interview that was reviewed by the Post. A little interesting thing going on there with Maverick Carter.
Well, so this gets into kind of like morals, right? Would this be insider trading? That would be the question. Mm-hmm. So he knows LeBron. He knows LeBron well. Could LeBron give him inside information about injuries and stuff? Sure.
The old I can't remember betting on the Lakers because that's one where his manager is probably going to know of a load management day before maybe the betting public.
Very true.
Would know about something like that.
Yeah, very true. So that would be where the advantage comes in. I guess I'm thinking court of law right now. Can you prove it?
I don't know, Anthony. I mean, I could try to prove anything.
I think this would be difficult to. If he used did you say online or no, Marsh?
I think he had a bookie.
Okay.
It said
illegal bookie?
Illegal bookmaker.
So no, that would be what they would call a local, and I don't think that would be unless the local jotted down things and said, "Oh, look, I got proof," and even then. Would that hold up? Mm-hmm. It's interesting fodder, but I don't know if anything comes about this.
I guess the question is, why did he come and say this, right? Why did he confess to this? So there must have been some rumblings, like he had to get out in front of it before it ended up blowing up.
Call.
That's the only guess that I have.
Either way, I don't think that this is going to be a small trash can that turns into a forest fire. A trash fire that turns into a forest fire.
Yeah, look, what we don't need in the NBA is its biggest star attached to gambling. It's never happened before, and it should not happen again, Anthony.
Yeah, good call on that. Never, especially not in the 90s. NFL 4 Downs next on 101 ESPN. right, time for the NFL 4 Downs. Brad Thompson, Anthony Stalter. Here is Andrew Marsh.
First down.
All right, gentlemen. Dallas Cowboys taking on the Seattle Seahawks tonight, Thursday Night Football. Cowboys in second place in the NFC East. Look pretty good. Would you consider Mike McCarthy to be an underrated coach this season?
I think he's been an underrated coach based on like how people perceive him his entire career. I've shared this before. When Aaron Rodgers got to the NFL, he was not pro ready. He played under Tedford at Cal. All of Tedford's quarterbacks held the ball up by the ear. That's just the way he liked to do it, the way he liked to teach his quarterbacks. And it was Mike McCarthy that really worked with Aaron Rodgers to move the ball more to his chest so that he could have a quicker release. Now, Aaron Rodgers has the talent. It's not like Mike McCarthy unlocked it or anything, but he did have a huge impact on Aaron Rodgers' career early on, and then Rodgers eventually became what we know now, which is a Hall of Famer. But I think Mike McCarthy didn't really get the credit he deserved. Now, did he get a little lazy there in Green Bay at the end? Did he start to only rely on an offense that was outdated? Yeah. And there was a natural breakup for Green Bay and McCarthy. He's out for a year, comes back. Now it's actually his offense that he's running, not overseeing Kellen Moore's offense. And you look at the Cowboys, and they're putting up big-time numbers. And Dak is a fringe MVP candidate. So I do think that he's an underrated coach.
Anthony, forgive me for not knowing the answer to this. This is why I lean on you. You're the football guy. Have the Cowboys been like devastated by injury at all this year?
They did lose Diggs, their top cornerback. Outside of that, they've been relatively healthy. Like CeeDee Lamb hasn't been out. Dak hasn't been out.
Big guys have been healthy.
Yeah. Pollard has come back from an injury. Like, I don't think Tony Pollard has looked the same up until recently.
Yeah. And the only reason I'm asking that is because unless that's the case, that they're overcoming a ton of injury, you're beating teams that you should beat, and you're getting your breaks blown off by teams that are as good or better, well, actually better than you. Like, and that's, I understand that you can only play the schedule that is in front of you, but they've got 3 losses. Inexplicably, they lost to the Cardinals early on in the season, but they got boat raced by the Niners on the road, and then they got beat in a close game on the road against the Eagles, but they're not beating anybody good. Like, what is their good victory on the season, Anthony?
They don't have one.
Do you still? I mean, maybe because if you squint really hard, you might believe in the Chargers on the road, a 2017 victory. But yeah, you're right. I don't think that they have one. I don't know if it's a sneaky good job by him or not.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate with you guys. Do you think that Mike McDaniel is a head coach of the year candidate for the Dolphins?
And I do, and the reason is, and it's just because we got to see Tua with a different head coach, and then we got to see him with a guy that can actually teach him and wants to run an offense around him and through him and makes him a part of it, as opposed to somebody like pushing him out. We all know that's the biggest, most important piece on the field, and for that reason, I would say yes.
Okay, because the Dolphins haven't beaten anybody either. Because
it's fair.
Cowboys and Dolphins have a combined 1-4 record against teams with winning records.
For sure. And I forgot to mention this stipulation, and this is a big one for me. I actually like Mike McDaniel.
There you go.
So that might be the tipping point.
Brad, that goes back to my point. I think everybody looks at Mike McCarthy as this big buffoon, and I don't think that's. I think we've got the wrong impression of Mike McCarthy, where Mike McDaniel's like young, hip. Look at him, he wears his sweatpants. He's running off the field. He's funny with the media. And there's McCarthy, who you think should be sitting on the couch with you, watching the games with you, as the jolly old neighbor next door or something. Mike McCarthy's put up good numbers this year with the Cowboys. So is the Dolphins. Neither of them have beaten teams that are going to be in the playoffs. So just throwing it out there, something to think about.
I appreciate it, Anthony. You're always looking at it at a very, very fair perspective.
But
no buts. Okay. No crap sandwich here, Anthony.
Right. I like that. Thank you, Brad.
Second down.
Will Bryce Young ever live up to being the number 1 overall pick?
So BT just brought up he made a great point about Tua. Mike McDaniel.
That's what Bryce needs.
Is running an offense that suits Tua. I don't think that Frank Reich, first of all, wanted Bryce Young, excuse me. Second of all, I don't think that the Panthers have been running an offense that suits Bryce Young. They don't have an offensive line, and yet they've got him taking 5 and 7 step drops. That's not who Bryce Young is. He needs to be in that 3 to 5 step drop, get the ball out quickly, and use his most important asset, which is that he's accurate and that he's smart, and design an offense that's going to maximize his strengths. He's got a good arm, but not a great arm. And obviously, he's slight. So this isn't somebody that's like Justin Herbert that can do 7-step drop and hang in the pocket and throw frozen ropes 30 to 40 yards downfield. Bryce Young, if he was with Mike McDaniel, I think would look like a completely different quarterback. So I'm not willing to say that he's not going to be, he's not going to be worth the hype when it's all said and done. I think he needs more help.
Yeah, I said it. Now, that being said, it was with nothing to back it up. The only thing that I was thinking about, and you look at recent number 1 overall quarterbacks, and you've had 3 in the last 4 years, actually 5 in the last 6 years. You had Trevor Lawrence, you've had Joe Burrow, who have shown up on the big stage. Joe Burrow obviously hurt at this point. Lawrence having himself a very good year. Kyler Murray, though, not going to live up to that hype, it doesn't seem like. Baker Mayfield, one of those guys. You've seen Jared Goff. You've seen Jameis Winston. Goff better with Detroit, obviously. But the thing that I always think about with the first overall pick and the idea of living up to the hype, Anthony, is these guys are first overall picks for a reason. One, they are talented. 2, the team that they're going to sucks badly in pretty much every single aspect of that team, and then they're trying to find that one piece. By the time they piece together enough pieces and enough draft picks to actually get a good team, you're probably out the window already because you're quote-unquote washed up, didn't work, waste of a first pick because you had nobody around him. Like, I almost feel like on payday at draft day, it's great to be the number 1 overall guy. Man, oftentimes it might be a little bit better to go a little later in the draft and actually go to a team that has something around it. Being that number 1 first overall is a very difficult place to be.
Look at Lamar.
Sure.
Lamar went the last pick.
Was it the end of the first round?
It was the last pick in the first round. The Ravens traded back up for him. They took Hayden Hurst, the tight end, first, and then traded up to the back end of that draft, that first round, to take Lamar. But Lamar went to a good team. Ben Roethlisberger was in the teens somewhere when the Steelers took him. He went to a pretty good team, an established team. I think it is better. See, Seattle with Russell Wilson, who's a 3rd-round pick.
Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes.
Jalen Hurts Pat Mahomes went to the Chiefs, who traded up. The only reason why he was the 10th pick is because the Chiefs traded up to go get him. I'm sorry, the only reason why he wound up with the Chiefs is because they went up and get him. Yeah, I think that a lot of times, you're right, Brad, these guys go to a team that just hired the first-year head coach. He don't know what he's doing. He's trying to establish himself, and then there's just too much on the young guy too quick.
3rd down.
Lots of rumors about Bill Belichick not being with New England moving forward after this season. If the Patriots get the number 1 pick, will Belichick remain as the head coach?
I think he's going to remain as the head coach no matter what. I think that Robert Kraft remains loyal to the guy that brought him so much success. And I realize that he doesn't have Tom Brady. I get that. But would you rather go the route that a lot of these teams are going right now and find a retread or somebody that's a first-year head coach to try to rebuild what you have in New England, or would you rather go with Bill Belichick if he still wants to be there? I'm going Belichick.
I'm going to go the other direction. I think I'd rather rebuild with something I know is going to be there in the future. If I've got the opportunity to get the first-round pick again, and I don't know who that is for them, who they would think is the number 1 guy. Is it Bo Nix? Who knows, right? But if I believe that you only have a couple of years left of Bill Belichick, already talking about moving on or going somewhere else. We all heard the Commanders rumors of a trade there of him going elsewhere. Like, if I'm the ownership, I make the call for you. We split amicably. I get you somewhere else, and I get somebody in there that I believe can build the culture. Easier said than done. I'm not going to hand it over to McDaniel. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. But I move on. I think I do. I feel like Bill Belichick is a Hall of Famer. He's going to go down as one of the best, but I think that it would be a good time for a clean start overall for them.
We'll see what happens.
4th down.
All right, last one here real quick. Has your opinion changed on any of the quote-unquote top teams in the NFL?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, Anthony, I got one for you.
What do you
real
got?
quick.
Yeah.
Because due to the fact that it's technically like a top team now, due to the fact that they're in the playoff mix, the Broncos,
Denver.
Anthony,
Yeah.
really thought that Peyton would help a little bit, not that much. They've rattled off 5 in a row. Russ can cook if you give him like a couple ingredients, like you give him bread, cheese, and butter. He makes you a grilled cheese. He's not doing any of that like Blue Apron stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll go with them. I'll take the low-hanging fruit, if you will.
Yeah, I would go with like Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo is a team that I think could beat anybody on any given Sunday. I could also see them lose to any team on any given Sunday. They should have beat the Eagles last week, but they've also lost to Zach Wilson and they lost to Mac Jones this year. And they should have lost to Tyrod Taylor.
How do you lose with too many men on the field?
Just bad coaching. Sean McDermott's probably going to lose his job when it's all said and done. You can't wait. You can't waste the talent of Josh Allen. All right, let's move forward here. What are you willing to give up for Dylan Cease if you're the Cardinals? That's next on 101 ESPN. 5:04, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Brad Thompson. I'm Anthony Stalter. Don't forget, we got Blues coming up in less than an hour pregame, starting here on 101 ESPN at 6 o'clock. We also have our Sports Six-Pack in the next 15 minutes or so. So start sending in those questions to the Air Comfort Service text line, and we'll answer those in our Sports Six-Pack. BT, a lot of rumors. I think Ken Rosenthal even had a report that the Cardinals remain interested in Dylan Cease despite adding Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, and Sonny Gray. The question, of course, is what, to me at least, is what is Dylan Cease going to cost? The same one I have about Tyler Glass now. If it's a free agent, we have an idea of what the term and the money is going to be. But when it comes to a trade, I think this is where things get a little tricky. So I guess what's the line for you if you were to acquire Dylan Cease in terms of what you're going to give up?
Yeah, the old puke point, if you will. It's hard to say. I think one thing that's first about this, because everybody in baseball that's going to be looking for a starting pitcher that misses out on Yamamoto or misses out on Snell or Montgomery, they're going to be looking to make a trade. They're going to be looking for C, so they're going to be looking for Tyler Glass. Now that's your top end of the trade market, at least as far as availability goes right now. So timing is going to be one of the biggest things, Anthony. And if I'm Chris Getz, the new GM over there for the White Sox, I'm waiting. And that is one of the newest reports that was out. I think that Rosenthal recently said that his sources are saying Chris Getz would rather wait until some of the free agents are gone, they're off the market.
Makes sense.
And that's when you that's when you end up dealing with desperate teams. And I don't think that the Cardinals, Anthony, are in a position, and again, I don't even know what they want to do if they truly are interested in acquiring Dylan Cease. I'm sure they're interested in the pitcher, but not what the cost is. I'm not sure they can afford to do it prospect-wise without hurting their chances of winning next year. Because the puke point for me in a deal right now for Dylan Cease, they're you got to look at what they need. They need a shortstop, even though they signed Paul DeJong. That's it. They still. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. They got Paul DeJong on a 1 year. I think he signed for like $1.75 million. So. Look, you can bring in another guy as depth. They need a second baseman also, and they need a corner outfielder. Second baseman, as we all know, is where you're of guys that might be tradable. I say might, not knowing anything. He might be a cold, dead hands guy. Nolan Gorman, to me, is kind of the puke point on a deal, because Gorman is the guy that I could see getting traded in a deal and then going off and hitting 87 home runs. Maybe that's a little high, Anthony. But,
maybe.
You look at what he did. Maybe, White Sox, the ball flies there a little bit too, at least when I pitch there. So I do think Gorman is like that puke point for me, where it's like, gosh, darn it. But if you're the White Sox, I'm not giving up Dylan Cease. 2 years of control of Dylan Cease, by the way, and they're estimating that he's going to come in arbitration this year right around $8.9 million. So he'll obviously get a bump off of that in the next year, but that's nowhere
near
nothing,
right?
Story. Yeah, exactly. That's nowhere near. Yeah, I mean, you got Kyle Gibson for 12, you got Lance Lynn for 10. I think that you could handle the cash of it. But if you're the White Sox, I don't know how I settle for much less unless I'm going to a team. I'm trading him to a team that has a very, very good farm system, and I'm plucking a lot of prospects, and I'm not worried about the big league roster. Because the other team that I keep seeing linked to them is the Braves. Anthony, that team does not have a lot of big league talent that they're going to trade off. They have a very good big league roster, and their farm system has been decimated from the deals that they've made. I don't see how they make a deal to bring in Dylan Cease. But the puke point, to answer the question 10 minutes later, to me is Gorman. Like, where are you looking at with this?
It's Gorman. It's Gorman. To me, and I don't want to give up Gorman. I've made this, sorry for being redundant, but I'm not giving up a young left-handed power bat. I'm just not. It's a situation where, to your point, it's not going to just cost you Nolan Gorman. It's going to cost you Nolan Gorman and probably some of your pitching prospects as well. I don't think that. I would rather go a different route. Dylan Cease isn't somebody that, given the numbers, really blows you away. He's been very good, but
not last year's numbers. 2 years ago, he was second in the Cy Young.
2 years he was great, but if Tyler Glasnow is going to cost you less from a prospect standpoint, he's a better pitcher, but he doesn't have the 2 years of control. He's got 1 year left, and he's older. Theoretically, he would cost you less, and he's a better pitcher, but you just have to worry about extending him if he's interested in signing a long-term deal. I would rather pursue that route as opposed to going to Dylan Cease. Because you're right, I think the White Sox are going to ask for a ton, and they should. And if the Dodgers, who desperately need pitching and have better top-end pitching prospects in their organization, they get involved, they get sweeten the pot a heck of a lot more. So I just don't think this is realistic.
It doesn't seem like the best fit, honestly. And if you did make that deal, if you're the Cardinals, it's the whole robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like you're taking, yes, run prevention is going to be better. And Dylan Cease, when you're looking at guys that profile as a swing and miss, top of the rotation, he fits that bill even better than Sonny Gray, who was second in the Cy Young this past year.
Sure.
He just has pure stuff more so than Sonny does. Sonny knows how to pitch a heck of a lot better than Cease. Heck of a lot might not be fair, but he knows how to pitch better. But yeah, it's such a difficult one to see where the fit would end up being. I had we both agree, Anthony, that Nolan Gorman is one you don't want to give up. So I was looking at some stats earlier today, and it was just players that are 23 or younger, at least as of last year, players 23 and younger. I was looking at power stuff, right? I'm looking at home runs. I'm looking at slugging. So he hit, as we all know, 27 home runs last year. Okay, that was fifth in all players that were 23 and under. Mm-hmm. Julio Rodriguez was there, Spencer Torkelson, Bobby Witt Jr., and Gunnar Henderson. All those guys hit more home runs than him, and he came in fifth. Pretty good list, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's the numbers that are interesting, and you can take this two ways when it comes to Gorman. Gorman hit 27 home runs in 119 games. Julio Rodriguez played in 155. Spencer Torkelson played in 159. Bobby Witt Jr. played in 158. And Gunnar Henderson played in 150. Wow. So you project the numbers out for Gorman through, let's call it 150. He is probably well ahead of these guys.
But
that's the problem. He only played 119 games at 23 years old, and he's got a bad back. Like, that's the one where you're hemming and hawing about it. It's like, are we worried about this, or do we also, as an organization, because I think organizations are very smart, do you look at it and say, we don't believe that Nolan Gorman is going to be a guy that is going to give us 150 games. Mm-hmm. But we know that we can keep him healthy and at his peak at 130 or whatever that number is. Right. That's where I think it also is interesting with Gorman is how do you keep that workload? He's a big-bodied second baseman. He's bat first, even though he's gotten very good at second base. He's not Tommy Edman good at second. He doesn't move like that, but he's gotten very good around the bag. But you're going to have to get creative of how you keep that guy on the field and how you keep him healthy.
It's thought-provoking, no doubt about it. All right, our Sports Six-Pack is next with Brad Thompson. I'm Anthony Stalter. So send your Sports Six-Pack questions in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Right now, we'll do our Sports Six-Pack next.
question.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is now.
All right, time for the Sports Six-Pack here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Brad Thompson and Anthony Stalter. Here's Andrew Marsh with your questions.
Question number 1.
All right, we were just talking about Dylan Cease. Anthony, you mentioned Tyler Glasnow. We got a question from the 618. Would you be willing to give up Alec Burleson and Michael McGreevy for Tyler Glasnow?
Yes.
God, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that was absolutely.
That was too quick. I'm sorry about that. Ask it again. No, I would do that. And I love Burley. I don't know as much about McGreevy. Just, seen him a little bit. But yes, of course you do that.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Question number 2.
That was super easy.
Yeah.
Maybe this one is easy too. Maybe it won't be. From the 314, would you give Mason Wynn the Ozzie Albies deal now and Jordan Walker the Ronald Acuna Jr. deal now?
That's a really good question. So the Ronald Acuna Jr. deal, Anthony, as you know, 8 years, $100 million. Yep. I think that the Albies, was it 30 or 35 million, something like that?
It was not high at
all. It was not a ton.
No,
it was not a ton.
Yes, on that one. Yes.
I was thinking about the Ronald Acuna deal today because of the news that the Brewers are likely doing this with Jackson Chourio, the 8-year, $80 million deal, a couple of options. And, how do you say no to $100 million when you've got limited time in the big leagues? He had a couple of years in, but how do you say no at that point? But he has cost himself so much money because he's got still, I believe he's got 27 and 28 are option years at $17 million a year for Ronald Acuna, who would be making obviously double that and then some.
Yeah.
But he's still, no, he's not crying poor at this point. All right, so would we give those two deals right now to Walker and Wynn? I say no. I personally would rather have them prove it
and pay
for a couple of years and then pay even more if I had to.
Yeah. Those two are great examples because if you do that and it works out like they have with Acuna and Ozzie Albies, then you're bringing in guys like
Olsen,
Matt Olsen.
Murphy. Come on in, guys.
And signing them to long-term deals. Didn't Austin Riley get his deal too?
Yeah.
And then you're still in on guys like Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto and all these other Aaron Nola before he re-signed with the Phillies. The Braves have been in on all these guys. Why? Because of those deals. Acuna is making far less than what he should be making. Ozzie Albies is making far less than what so when you ask, why would you do that? This is why. And we've gotten this question before from, Cardinals fans. Why would they do that? Why? Because you try to get ahead of it, and it locks that player in. And if he outperforms his deal, you can allocate the money he should be making to somebody else and improve your team even more. That's the idea, at least.
Question number 3.
All right, this comes from the Snake Pit from our friends on YouTube.
I love that they named themselves the Snake Pit. I think that's fantastic.
This one's from Randy. Why haven't you guys mentioned possibly getting Shota Imanaga?
Thank you for not saying. Why haven't you guys mentioned Trevor Bauer?
Oh, we have.
We have, but
Jamie has.
Yeah, a lot. What do you know about Imanaga, PT?
So, Imanaga is obviously he's like the number 2 on the list, right? Everybody wants Yamamoto. So Imanaga, lefty, he's not necessarily overpowering, but he's good. He's very good. I'm trying to comp him from guys that came over. It's very difficult to do. Kodai Senga obviously got a 5-year, $75 million deal. I think that people are looking for Imanaga to land somewhere in the 4-year, $60-something million range, which he's a 30-year-old pitcher that you don't know. Maybe it translates great, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I still think that if we're talking about specifically for the Cardinals, and it would be fun to see where Imanaga lands, I still think that you need to know that you're adding a 1 or 2 type guy. Like, that's what you need. You don't need more middle of the rotation. You have depth. You have certainty now. Then I think after that, if you are adding in, whether free agency, not likely, or via the trade market, like you're adding high-end stuff. And I think that Imanaga, maybe he turns into that, but I don't know if that's exactly what he profiles as.
Yeah, good call. Question 4, please.
Question number 4.
How do you see the Blues faring tonight against the Buffalo Buffaloes?
Yo, Buffalo Buffaloes. I'm interested in these line combinations being changed up a little bit here.
Picked them out of a hat. That's what I heard.
No, Brad, I don't think they did that. I know that's how you have thought about doing that for Cardinals lineups, and then you wind up with the same guy.
Oh, I put Paul. Was it Paul DeYoung? I put it twice.
You had him leading off, and then ironically, I think you pulled him second too. And you're like, wait a minute, Paul DeYoung? Are these all DeYoung?
I did. He was so hot then.
Yeah, he was. He was swinging it. But yeah, with the Blues, you don't know. It's they're inconsistent. I think they can win 8-3 tonight, and I think they can lose 5-1. You know, I mean that's just been the Blues thus far this season, but. You got Ken Hitchcock in the house. You got Pierre Turgeon back in the house. They're going to drop the puck tonight. So, yeah, 4-3 winners for the Blues.
4-3 winners. Yep. I like it. Marshy, are any of those goals coming via the power play where they are Kiefer struggling big time?
Absolutely. I think Jordan Kyrou is going to get the first goal of the game tonight on the power play.
You doubled down on the Kyrou. Wait, you don't have Kyrou, do you?
I mean, maybe I do, maybe I don't.
I don't remember you saying Kyrou.
I said Jordan Kyrou.
Did you?
Yeah, you have Pavel Buchnevich.
Yeah, I think Buch is going to score first,
and
Brad.
Jamie has Braden Shen.
Mm-hmm.
We might as well get BT's pick right now.
Yeah, well, that leaves the youngster, Jake Neighbors, wide open to tap it in. So that's easy.
Tap it in.
Tap-a-roo.
it in. There you go. There's your Blues.
That's the fun thing about the Blues right now, though, guys. They're like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
I've heard that.
Yeah. And some of them are horrible. I don't understand how they can sell some of those chocolates, Anthony. Like some that you bite into them and like, who wanted this?
Right.
Who said that this is the one? This should go in a box of chocolates we're giving people as a gift.
What's your least favorite, Brad?
It's probably like one of those ones that has like random strawberry nougat in it.
I'm with you.
Nobody likes strawberry nougat. If you like strawberry nougat, you're I don't know, you're hoarding cats also and probably performing surgery on them in the basement. I don't know. There's a lot going on.
I don't know if those that hoard cats also perform the surgery on them. I think they're more likely to be eaten by their own cats when they pass.
What? Yeah, actually, they find that a lot, right? In hoarders, don't they find like cats under like sofas and humans, because a lot of them are big.
Well, I can smell
not
it from
all
here.
of them. I don't want to just.
You
You
don't want to paint everybody with that brush, Brad.
Certainly not. No, there are a lot of smaller hoarders.
Going play action. I'm going play action, and hitting the tight end in the flat, who leaks out after blocking after initially.
You're supposed to call the play.
Yeah. I'm definitely going play action. It's my favorite thing to do at the goal line. Play action, defense commits. I got the tight end who pauses for a second there, chip blocks the DN or linebacker, and then leaks out. Also go boot. Get the quarterback on the move.
Just
run. Don't you say fade.
Anthony, just pound the rock. All right,
that's from the
got 3 yards.
Brad.
If you can't get 3 yards, Anthony,
most teams can't.
You can fall 3 yards.
If I got Jalen Hurts, I'll do the Philly special there.
You're not running the fade?
The brotherly special. You know I'm not running the fade.
Anthony's not a big fade guy.
Fade's not even in my playbook. Play action at the goal line.
You seem limited.
I'm not limited. That play is limited. Limited to play callers that are completely limited and they have no imagination. I just throw it up. The defender's right there. It's fine. It's a 6'5" receiver. Yeah, the corner's in position. In position
I'm sorry,
right now.
Your guy's not talented enough to get a 50-50 ball, Anthony.
It's exactly
Build a better
right,
team.
Brad. 50-50 ball.
Team.
You said it perfectly. It's a 50-50
yeah,
shot.
But it's called that. But when you throw it,
chip the tight end. He leaks to the flat. That's a 75% winner there.
Anthony, the 50-50 ball is the same idea as like the guy that's taking the ball that day, he's the ace, okay? You got to think if you're the guy that's catching it, this is a 90-10 ball. You know it.
You know what's funny? You know what's ironic? I said earlier in the show, I'm like, I'm not going to do the whole high school thing, going back to the high school glory days. And my second one I'm about to mention. But I caught one touchdown. I caught one touchdown in high school because I was defensive back. But when we were freshmen, we played Iron Man. So we did offense and defense. And I was a receiver that year. I caught one touchdown. It was a fade in the end zone. It was a fade.
Really?
Yes, I swear.
And you hate it. You think that would be your favorite play forever.
You would think.
Is it because you just want it to go down as like you were one of the last great fades? You just want to get rid of it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
Back in your day, Anthony, you were tough. I told you back in my day, I didn't play football, but I only hit one home run in high school. I think I've told you this. And the only reason I hit it, it didn't even get out. There was like a big wall in left field. The guy knocked himself cold against the fence. The only one. It was like my memorable moment is me running from third. And inside the park home run. I almost got thrown out. And this was like down the line. I almost got thrown out by the center fielder. It was close. Like bang, bang at the plate. But got it.
You did it. Home run,
yeah, that's
baby.
right.
Nice.
Got it.
That's awesome. Marshall, would you like to relive any of your glory days since we're on that subject?
My glory days? Nah.
These are still happening.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Marsh. He's just a young man. He's still building memories that he wants to keep.
I can't even remember anything from high school sports.
Oh, jeez. You will.
Oh, Anthony, I like to be young again. I'm limping everywhere I go right now. This getting old stuff's for the birds.
You got a bad knee.
Got two bad knees, Anthony. I was going in.
He's got two bad legs.
I was going in to get the left one checked out, and before I called, I blew out the right one.
Oh, no. Really?
So I'm going to look at surgery on the left and just had cortisone in the right. Getting old, Anthony.
Holy smokes. What were you, a catcher? What were you, a catcher?
They say that's what I was actually at the doctor's office, and the guy's like, old shoulder, huh? I'm like, no, that's fine. Yeah. That is fine.
Yeah,
From all the sitting in the bullpen, though, the getting up and down, the knees are just, they're just shot.
What are you doing, squats?
No, that's the thing. I think I probably have brittle bone disease or something. I'm falling apart. There's got to be something underlying, Anthony.
Yeah.
I should drink some milk.
Man.
I haven't had a glass of milk in years, Anthony.
No. That's the other thing when you grow up. You stop drinking milk. Question 6, please.
Yeah, real quick here. This is from the 618. What's the coolest piece of sports memorabilia that you own?
Brad,
look around.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of like World Series stuff, right? Like World Series shadow box and jersey and stuff from playing in the World Series. One of my favorite pieces I have actually too is a panoramic of Bush 2, and it's signed by everybody on the 05 team. So the last team to play there. I love that.
That's
one of
awesome.
my favorite pieces. And then my first ever lineup card that I pitched in my major league debut. I've got that lineup card from Mother's Day, and it's signed by all the players, signed by Tony La Russa, and I got that frame. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kristen, my wife, got me an autographed Matt Ryan football for a wedding gift. And Chris Duncan got Andrew Luck to sign an authentic Luck jersey. This is Dunk. This is perfect Dunk. So him and I used to do our Raising Cane's chicken tender bets. And we somehow talked about like who would throw more touchdown passes that year. I can't remember who I had, but he had Andrew Luck. And he wound up winning. So he asked Shelley, his brother, who somehow had a connection, to get an autographed Andrew Luck jersey. So he did. He had Andrew Luck actually sign the jersey. But in typical Dunk fashion, he didn't just write like a note to me. He put a note on the jersey that said, "Hey, dip blank. Next time you choose a quarterback to throw how many ever touchdowns, choose me." But he wrote it, but Dunk wrote it on the actual jersey. So I got Andrew Luck's jersey autographed with Dunk saying that message on it, which is, again, it's just like, it's perfect Dunk. So that one. That one means a lot.
That's fantastic. The fact that he ruined an authentic autograph to put his little snarky note.
Which, if you knew Dunk, you listen to him on the radio, that's perfect him. Like he would have done something like that. So yeah, that one's certainly great.
I have a 2006 signed baseball bat It's all laser engraved from the entire 2006 Cardinals team. So
Nice.
BT's name is on that.
Wow.
You're welcome, Marshy.
But that's not my favorite.
Oh, okay.
No, I think mine, which I think is cool, and BT, you would obviously remember this, and I think I've mentioned this several times, but the 2006 Game 5 tickets, I went to the final game, but it doesn't say Game 5 on the ticket. It says Game 4 because of the rainout that happened. They flipped the tickets.
Wow.
So I'm not going to say I feel bad for everyone that missed, the actual game-winning, series clinching. No, because they don't, because I got to go.
You're not going to say it because you don't. Yeah. All right. We'll have our biggest question of the day with Brad Thompson and Andrew Marsh and Anthony Stalter next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for Sports Center Update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues take on the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Pregame starts at 6 o'clock. Puck drop is at 7. You can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. You'll hear Chris Kerber on the call tonight. We had him on the show today. If you missed that interview, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have our biggest question of the day coming up next, so stay tuned. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center Update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's time for the Fast Lane's biggest question of the day.
Time for the biggest question of the day with Brad Thompson and Anthony Stalter. Andrew Marsh, what do you got?
All right, we talked about Yadi earlier in the show, but not since BT has hopped on with us. So the biggest question of the day surrounds Yadi Molina and what his potential role looks like for the Cardinals moving forward. What is going on here, gentlemen?
So, BT, I'll just give you my version of it. I think this is great. I think that while some Cardinals fans may have thought, well, Yadi's going to come in, he's going to be a full-time coach, you heard what Mo and the reports were stating, that they want him to be a part of the coaching staff. They just need to know how much Yadi wanted to commit to the role. Turns out, consulting in spring training throughout the year turned out to be pretty good. Now Yadi has can get a taste of coaching. If he loves it, maybe the role expands. If he doesn't want to go do anything more than that, then and you're not overcommitting either on his end or he's overcommitting to you, not really wanting to pour in those full-time hours. I think it's a great thing, and Yadi's going to be involved, which is the most important aspect. But where are you on this?
Yeah, as we talked about, Anthony, in any capacity, if you can have Yadi or Molina help this team, you take him.
Absolutely.
Whether he wants to be there day-to-day or he wants to be there in what will be a special advisor role, which is a very fluid role, and I actually mean that in the term fluid.
Not fast lane fluid.
Yes, not fast lane fluid. It is just a role where, hey, you pop in when you pop in. If you could be there for spring training, you're there for spring training. If you're coming for opening day, hang out, put a uniform on, and be around the guys. He has so much value there. We know that Yadi loves the game of baseball. We know that he loves coaching. He wouldn't have gone straight from playing to go managing in Venezuela. We've seen him manage Team Puerto Rico. He loves it, but he also loves his family. And he's got a family that's growing up, and a lot like the decision that was made by Matt Holliday, where Jackson gets drafted. He's got Ethan, who's one of the top prospects in baseball. He's got a younger son and daughter. It's as much as you love the game, the game, you sacrifice a lot of family time because of the game of baseball, and when you have a time to get some of that back, it really is important. So I think that he is at that point where I believe his oldest son is 15 maybe, and he's a catcher. You take that time with him. And then Yadi Molina is not one of those guys, Anthony, that it's he's been out of the game too long, probably forgot some stuff, might have missed a step.
Yeah, I think you're going to be okay there.
Yeah, when he's ready to come back or when he wants to, and I think that you brought up a perfect point. See how much he likes it. See how much he likes the role. I can't wait to see how involved he is when he is around, because oftentimes guys are a little bit worried to tinker too much. You don't want to step on anybody's toes. Whose toes is Yadi stepping on?
Nobody's.
You have a lot of times in spring training, you'll have pitchers come in that are special advisors. I don't want to step on the pitching coach's toes. I want to make sure we're in lockstep when I talk to a player.
Right.
No, you go ahead, Yadi. Yeah. Go talk to him.
Typically,
talk
he's worked with those guys.
Correct.
Or he's already spoken to them when he played. It's not a big deal.
I love it. I love it, Anthony. I think it is going to work out very well, and to keep him around the organization is really important, because I think that you could have also seen a scenario, not that Yadi doesn't love St. Louis, because he does, and love being a member of the Cardinals. I think that you could have seen a scenario where he just went off into the sunset and just started a whole nother life. I love the fact that he's still around, wants to be around, wants to help. And as we talked about when the news first came out that Yadi was interested in coaching, we heard all the rumors about him potentially being on the staff on a day-to-day basis. You know how much he can help. And first of all, you know the reverence that Wilson Contreras has for Yadier Molina. So you have the veteran in Contreras that could still utilize the help even though he's a veteran. And then you have a young buck at Ivan Herrera who is learning and getting better and better. If Yadi in his advisor role can be a resource for these guys, and not even when he's in town. If he could be a phone call away, or they could send him some video and be like, hey man, can you break this down for me? Or hey, here's this sequence, or this is what I'm going through. I've been catching Mats and he's doing this over and over again. How do I get through to him? That is so incredible to be able to have that. And Yadi's got information in his head for being, from being in the position that he was for so long, that you're not going to get from anybody else on this staff.
No doubt.
And I think the staff they're well prepared. They've got a great group, but it's just a different skill set that Yadier Molina brings, which brings a different knowledge base.
Absolutely. That's Brad Thompson. I'm Anthony Stalter. The Fast Line on 101 ESPN. And each week during the NFL season, we, the Fast Lane and the Rizzuto Show, we battle in the Pick'em Challenge, but sometimes we come together, hang out, and watch some football in person. And you could do that tonight with Moon from the Riz Show and Kerry Davis from 101 ESPN. Tonight, 6 to 8 at Cyberg's. This Cyberg's location downtown. Go watch the Thursday night matchup between the Seahawks and the Cowboys. Get signed up for some 101 ESPN and point giveaways. Plus, enjoy a cold Bud Light. That's tonight, 6 to 8, with Kerry Davis and Moon and Bud Light at Cyberg's on Market Street in downtown. We'll come back. We'll tell you what you missed. Criticisms, compliments next on 101 ESPN. Well, if you missed anything from today's show, you can always download the podcast available at 101ESPN.com, your 101 ESPN mobile app, brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We've got Blues hockey coming up for you in about 10 minutes pregame. Alex Ferrario, Joey Vitale, and Chris Kerber, who we chatted with earlier today. If you missed that, again, check out our podcast. BT filled in for the last 2 hours, Jamie for the first 2, and BT, always great to do radio with you. I think you and I are going to be doing a lot of radio next week, I believe.
Yeah, I think I got like 4 of the 5 days in some capacity, Anthony, so I'm looking forward to it. I told you last week, there are times that I'm sitting here at home and I just start rocking around, and it's like,
what am I doing?
What do we got? Is there my lawn, by the way, not too many leaves on it, Anthony.
Yeah.
Still very, very well mowed, still green. So I'm bored. I'm looking forward to it next week.
You're out there with the scissors now. It's got to be perfect.
Got to keep it clean.
Yeah, good for you. So B2 again, he'll be with us next week a lot. Marsh, what do we got for criticisms and compliments?
Yeah, so the 636, in reference to our gauntlet today, said, boys, that was one of the best gauntlets ever. Great battle.
Wow.
Hey, that is one of the only, and I didn't see all of the text after the gauntlet, but I didn't see any positive ones, Anthony. People were a little upset with our lack of Star Wars knowledge.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know that they met up at that Ratatouille place and hung out. Yeah. I didn't know that. And I think we did. I did see one that said it was an unfair question because Obi-Wan Kenobi really helped mold. Was it Luke Skywalker?
Yeah, it was old
Skywalker kid. Old Lukey pants helped mold him. Mm-hmm. So, like, really, the answer was him and Oscar. I mean, Yoda. So,
Brad, I don't know. I think you got host.
I would agree. But that's on me for not knowing enough about one of the best, allegedly, cinematic films ever.
Ever, of all time.
Yeah, it changed cinema.
It certainly did, guys. It certainly did. So did Jurassic Park.
It certainly did.
Mm-hmm. Where are you at with the new Jurassic Parks, Anthony? Have you seen any of those new ones?
Oh, yeah.
Latest one's terrible.
No, it's not.
Are you serious?
Are you serious? They tie everything together perfectly.
That was one of the worst Jurassic Park movies that I've ever seen. And a lot of people say that they don't like Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, stop it. There's a hat tip to all the other Jurassic Park films.
Because they put in a bunch of fan service with all the OG characters.
You're wrapping it up.
Oh,
so
I like that.
Why not?
They're talking about like cockroaches or what were they? Not cockroaches. It was
there's bugs.
Yeah. We're talking about bugs.
They were locusts.
The locusts.
They had everything. They had more dinosaurs in that one than any other one.
You had dinosaurs roaming the earth, and we had one scene where there's actually dinosaurs actually roaming the earth. Other than that, they went back to another facility like in every other
Are you kidding me?
movie.
Come on. They had all kinds of dinosaurs in that one. How about the one with the claws? She had to go into the swamp there, and
that was cool.
Come on. It's great.
It was, overall, didn't like the movie.
Jurassic Park better than Star Wars. Check.
Wow, that's actually a really. I'm going to go with Star Wars. It's not a bad question. I'm going Star Wars.
I got a feeling that we're going to be. If you pick Jurassic Park, you're probably going to be on the losing end of the battle, Anthony.
Probably.
But I'll be there with you.
Yeah. All right, Brad. Let's go with Jurassic Park. No Velociraptors in Star Wars.
There's not.
Yeah, and at least it's like more realistic. Like you could totally see taking that mosquito.
Oh, yeah.
Got stuck in the sap, and then all of a sudden, bingo, bango, bongo, you get some smart scientists, got dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You can see that happening.
And then these people start to get a little crazy with their ideas. Start to play God with these dinosaurs. It's human nature.
Trying to weaponize them.
Hey, it's coming right now. It's called AI. We're
I know.
screwed. Like, we're all screwed right now.
Yeah.
So, they were just showing us with dinosaurs what it could look like in what was supposed to be contained environment. It's coming to a home near you.
That's correct.
Ah, man.
Well said, Brett.
I Am Robot. iRobot. I'm thinking of I Am Legend. Both movies with Will Smith in them. iRobot, great film. If you want to talk about AI.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yes. Yeah. What was it, Sonny?
Sonny
the robot.
Sonny Gray.
That was Will Smith, Sonny, and
Shia LaBeouf was in that movie, too.
Who was the lead female, though? Was that Tom Brady's boo? The first one?
Oh,
what's her name?
Giselle?
No, not Giselle. The
Bridget Moynihan?
Yeah, I think it's Bridget Moynihan was in that movie. Brad?
That's not her.
Payway on you or me. That was Bridget Moynihan.
Done.
Next week. I think that was Tom Brady's boo.
Wow. Golly, I guess I'm buying.
Yes.
No.
Nice.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I was pretty confident in that.
Yeah. I had a crush on her and during that year when I watched that movie.
Her and Kate Beckinsale, right? You guys remember Kate Beckinsale, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, last one here from Gatorbait, who's a part of the Snake Pit on YouTube. He goes,
I love that. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but I love it.
He goes, make sure you give the reasoning behind the Snake Pit. It's because we follow the Fast Lane motto in our chat. No one is safe and everyone's accountable.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. I just like that you guys adopt the Fast Lane motto. Well, one of them at least, and one of
that was
them
kind of a hybrid of the motto.
First motto, of course, for those that don't know, is nobody's safe. The second motto, Marsh,
bury the bodies.
We bury the bodies. That's
in
right.
the Snake Pit.
In the Snake Pit.
God, it makes me feel at home.
It certainly does, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, BT, great stuff. Have yourself a good rest of the week and weekend, and we'll see you next week, bud.
Sounds good. Enjoy the weekend, fellas.
Excellent. Don't forget Blues tonight versus the Buffalo Buffaloes. Pregame starting in less than 5 minutes. You got Chris Kerber, you got Joey Vitale, and Alex Ferrari, of course, will take over pregame, intermission, and the postgame as well, right here on 101 ESPN, your home of the Blues. Blues hockey coming up next. See you.